one, fight! That is the abrupt ending there. Welcome. It's your buddy Gabriel Tape. I am on YouTube for the third time today. You know, I don't get tired of me either. I'm here with my great friend Shanth Enjeti, and we are here to talk about all things 90s martial arts. How are you doing today, Shanth?
I'm doing great, man. I've been thinking about Steven Seagal today, which, you know, makes it just another day.
He's been thinking about you all day. That's crazy.
I bet he has been. Absolutely right. I actually watched the short scene of him in Machete, and I was like,
Machete.
Yeah, God, I love Dan. We'll have a Danny Trejo time at one point because love Danny Trejo, amazing actor. But yeah, it's good to be here, man. It's good to be talking action with you, brother.
Right. So before we get to the main course here, which is some Steven Seagal and maybe someone else, a secret surprise star, how is Nosfero going and all that stuff? You working hard?
Awesome. Yeah, actually, I just I've been really working into a panel where it's got my female lead character Laurel in it. I just got in the mail, you know, those books that you see in Barnes and Noble discounted down to a nickel that you go, do I really need that? And then they're on eBay for 80 times as much, and you go, I should have got that. I just got a Gil Elfgren book in the mail. Famous, amazing American pinup artist. And so that's really informing what I'm doing with the female lead there, and then just planning out some vampire battle choreography. So I'm excited about that.
That is awesome. I'm keeping busy too. I'm working on Wraith of God. I'm working on something for Eric July. I am working on Oath of Blood, Oath of Bone with my boy Philippe Briones. I showed some of the art for that last night. We'll show it later. It's gorgeous. And I'm working on, of course, Beef Law, my love letter to the 90s. So that's what I'm doing. I'm very big, and then doing lots of YouTube. I'm having so much fun doing YouTube. But yeah, it's going great. So we left off. We talked a lot of Jean-Claude. What the hell am I saying? Jean-Claude Van Damme. Jean-Claude is his distant relative that lives in Arkansas, and he bags groceries at the Piggly Wiggly. But he does love kickboxing just as much. No, Jean-Claude Van Damme. And let's talk a little Seagal today. Let me share my screen here real quick.
Yeah, let's do
a little set the mood, as they say. So Steven Seagal came out of nowhere like a thunderbolt of action and ponytail and really gravelly, like squinty-eyed badassery. And when did you notice him? Did you see his movies in order, or how did you discover the legend that is Steven Seagal?
I think that I was watching his movies. I think the first Steven Seagal movie I watched was rented from a video store, so I'm pretty sure I didn't catch Above the Law or Hard to Kill anywhere but on VHS back in the day. Although, you know, it was not too far from when the movies came out. But then I finally saw, the first one I saw in the theater was Marked for Death. But I was a Seagal fan because I was already into action movies pretty much from the start. I mean, those trailers, they just sucked you right in. And I loved fight movies. So Yeah,
Right.
I was in.
One thing I found amazing about Seagal when I started watching his movies, and I don't know if this is an ego thing or just a stylistic thing, is that someone in the chat says, Chad Doss says John Claude. So there you go. Making fun of the pronunciation. One thing I found fascinating about Steven Seagal movies is that like no one lays a finger on him. He just beats the shit out of everyone with the Aikido like throat punch, flipping people down. And they never get out. I was fascinated by it because Van Damme and Schwarzenegger, all of them, they get beat up. Rocky gets beat to a pulp, every time he faces someone in the ring. But Seagal, no one touches him. He just beats the crowd. What do you think that? Do you like that? I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, I did too. And it's funny that of all the things, like I was talking with my wife when we first met, we were talking about me being a big Van Damme fan and watching Steven Seagal movies, and she goes, "You know what I liked about Steven Seagal's movies?" And I was like, "Marriage Material." You know how it is. And I was
right.
She goes, "I like that. No, he never got touched. In a lot of ways, he was like the Michael Myers of action movies in his roles. He just came in and just demolished people in a straight line." And I love it, man. Like I loved, it's so funny because if you're watching, we were watching movies like Iron Monkey and all that kind of stuff when I was coming up. And so, you see, a lot of Wing Chun, martial arts, and you see a lot of amazing Kung Fu movies. But when I look at that, there's so much fight choreography and all of that stuff. I think the what they did with Steven Seagal when they introduced him was they actually had almost an old school or modern school action movie feel to it, where it was really choreographed, but it was brilliant work by everybody involved to make it look so effective. So love those movies.
Yeah, I think the first 5 they're just utter masterpieces when it comes to 90s action and all that. And then it goes off a cliff and it goes fast. And I don't I made up a terminology for the phase that he went through. I call it the Albuquerque Buddhist. And it starts in about On Deadly Ground, and the message is really environmental and grandiose and stuff. And I don't know what happened, but he made those first 5 and they were classic masterpieces, insane action. And then it got weird and preachy. And I think at the end of On Deadly Ground, he's like talking about the environment and like this 4-minute montage talking about pollution and all this stuff. And it's just like, what the hell are we watching?
It's really interesting because it's not unlike what goes on today, man. I mean, it's like you look at this stuff and you go, like, don't try to, don't go outside of your lane is the best way I could put it. Like, for example, Jean-Claude Van Damme, for all of his issues that he ran into, he never got preachy with people. And I think that's why he's still beloved to this day. What's interesting is that there's a lot of people who've made all kinds of interesting life choices, let's say, during their careers, but who were able to have a comeback because they never, like, it was almost bizarre when he did it, because I'm like, have you seen your movies? Like, what has this got to do? Like, it was not a natural segue. It was just all of a sudden,
Right.
And I remember walking out of On Deadly Ground just like, what did I just watch? Like,
I've never walked out of a movie. I never have.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I didn't walk out of it. I mean, when it was done. Like, I know every movie I walked out of. My God. And it's not a lot because it takes a lot. But
I've only wanted to walk out of 2 movies, and I didn't walk out of either.
Wow.
The first one is the one where Arnold Schwarzenegger has a baby, Junior, right? They do some fucked up science. Danny DeVito and someone, they do something to Arnold, and then he gets pregnant as a baby. I wanted to walk out of that, but I didn't. And then Deadpool, I wanted to walk out of after about 20 minutes. Those are the 2 movies I wanted to walk out of. So,
with me, I have walked out of movies. The one I remember the most was I walked out of the sequel to The Crow. I was just like, nope, because I was a huge Brandon Lee fan. So when that happened, but it's funny, if there's a Steven Seagal movies that I've watched the most, the 2 that I've watched the most, and I don't know if it's nostalgia or if it's the quality of the movies themselves. I watched Under Siege a fair amount, but it really is Hard to Kill and Marked for Death. Those are the 2 I've watched the most of.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I think my favorite of his is the first one is Above the Law. I don't know
Above
why.
the Law is amazing.
I love
It's
it
great.
because I love the whole CIA angle, and I do
Yeah.
like how when he's ranting at his old CIA buddy, he says,
Yeah.
you guys think you're above the law, and I'm like, hey, that's one of those times where they say the name of the movie in a crucial moment.
Yeah.
I always thought something. I remember thinking about that when I was a kid. One time, I thought it would be weird if like Lando told Han Solo like, "Hey, the Empire's striking back" or something. I don't know why I had this
Yeah,
thought.
exactly. Yeah. They think they're above the law, but they
Right.
aren't above my law. And yeah, I mean, but this is the thing too about it is it's when I look at that time, because we're kind of like, we're about to get the last Indiana Jones movie. We're on the other, kind of the first wave of Spielberg, George Lucas and all that is kind of wrapping up, and you've got action stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you've got Stallone, so that kind of world has been created. Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal kind of filled this sort of time period, and there's this I think there started to be, as there is oftentimes with action movies, was this cynicism about how effective the system was at stopping crime. So with Seagal in particular, like that was his thing. He was kind of like Dirty Harry, but
Right.
with a keto. And
Right.
he just sort of came out of nowhere. And I think that for me, there was obviously as like a young kid, there was a lot of attraction to that. Just someone who would go in there and just demolish people, and just sort of because you knew like what they were doing was wrong. Everything was very, simple. Like this guy's a mob boss. This guy's a corrupt politician. This guy's, killing people. And you kind of are rooting for these guys. And I loved that about those movies. I loved it.
Right. Yeah. I think Hard to Kill is so good too, where he's in the coma and he has that big, ridiculous fake beard when he comes out of the coma.
Yeah.
And I think Kelly LeBrock, who, that was his wife at the time, right?
I don't know. I don't remember if they were married or not, but I do remember her in that movie. Yes.
Yeah, she was ridiculous as Nurse whatever. Yeah. Nurse Ratched. I don't know what her name was, but
yeah.
Oh my gosh. So Steven Seagal, 5 amazing movies to get started, and then he just goes off a cliff into oblivion. Have you seen his bad movies? Like, have you seen any of them? Yep.
I was a big fan of these guys, right? So yeah.
Right. Oh, I thought I cut you off there. I'm sorry.
No. You're good, man. What are the ones you rate for your the bad ones that
I just saw there's this great channel called So Good It's Bad. And
nice.
They watch movies and then review them and if the movie's bad enough, but also bad in that way where it entertains you. And they watched Sniper Special Ops. And it's like from 2010 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a sniper. And he spends the whole movie like in the second story of some building in Afghanistan and just like lecturing some Marine that got paralyzed. And he never uses a sniper rifle except for the first minute of the movie. He ends up shooting people with a pistol and with his AR-15 or whatever he has, or M4 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So let me check on the chat really quick.
Yeah. Let's.
I think. Oh, he's quoting. I was like, "What is it?"
Vernon. Vernon.
Right. Casey Ryback. What a great character in Under Siege. What do you think of Under Siege?
I think because I was discussing in depth. I was having a debate about Steven Seagal movies with myself because honestly, outside of you, there's not a lot of people I can have that conversation with. But I have to begrudgingly accept the fact that if you were going to introduce somebody to Steven Seagal to get them into it, you'd probably, because of Gary Busey, Tommy Lee Jones, and all of the really great supporting actors in that. Possibly Erica Leniak in that. You would have to start there just because it is the more mainstream, of the movies, and I think people probably would consider it as best. But I think it's a great movie. It's where I remember thinking when I saw Tommy Lee Jones in that, I was like, for this kind of movie, that guy, I've never seen him before. He's just amazing. And then of course he was in The Fugitive, which is brilliant.
Right. Yeah, no, he's fantastic. It's a little weird casting, but it totally works where he's playing like this, supposed to be like a young rock star or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But and he already seems older at that point. I do like how Seagal has the knife in his mouth in the knife fight. I don't know if you remember
Yeah.
that. It's freaking
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Oh, hell yeah.
How he
I
bites.
see everybody writing in the chat, Casey fucking Ryback.
Right.
You gotta love that, right?
Yeah.
It's, I mean, that and the, I love one of the lines, and I'll probably butcher it, but I haven't probably seen that movie since I saw it on VHS or so. Like, it's been a long time, but I've committed some of
Really?
this stuff into my memory. Sure, because Under Siege, I watched enough when it came out, but I just remember Tommy Lee Jones talking about when Seagal's cutting through the men like a hot knife through butter, and he's kind of like, "Why did we not hire this guy? I don't know how much he would have cost, but it would have been worth it for him to be on their time, on their side during the thing." And I just died laughing. I was like,
Right.
God, you never hear villains, you know. That was a real good scenery chewing performance from Tommy Lee. That and when he launches the weapons, he was like, or the what do you call it, the nukes? It was the nukes. I forget what it was at that point.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, I think it was some like nuclear warheads.
Because it's
Have you
always
ever-
nukes, right?
Right. Have you ever seen Under Siege 2? And it had a young that lady that played on that Doctor Nurse show. What the fuck was her name? Katherine Heigl. Katherine
Oh
Heigl's
my
like
God, that's right. I do. Oh,
It's
Yeah, I
his
remember.
teenage niece.
yes. So of course I saw that one. Had to, because again I was a huge fan. Actually, I know it's not really one of his movies, but the movie he was in with and the name's going to come to me. Executive Order, was it? Or Executive
Decision, I believe.
with Kurt Russell. His short bit in that was almost like a little bit of a resurgence for him. But yeah, I saw that movie and I just kept thinking, I don't want to know about this guy's daughter. It's like awful as that. That was a great movie.
Right.
But it was like, it was such a flip from Under Siege 1. It was kind of after, I think he had had one of his missteps or whatever. I don't think it was immediately after.
Oh, I don't even remember what the terrorists took over the train in that. and they had that guy, that one guy, he's the hacker. And I remember at the end, in order to hack into like the weather satellites or the armament satellites or whatever there, he says, now just to add a little bit of RAM. And he's just like clicking, and this is 1995 and most people weren't very literate on computers. So they could just write any kind of dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're like hacking in and you're putting a virus and something, like, oh yeah, I'll just add some RAM. And now we're all like, you hear the dialogue like that didn't age very well. That didn't make any fucking sense.
See, and I know everybody jokes about this. It's a well-laid joke. But whenever I watch a movie now and they go, let's zoom in, magnify, and they get this photorealistic image and you're like, that's bullshit. But yeah, I mean, they would do things in those movies computer-wise that you just crack up, like just showing what people, what you could pass off on the public about what a hacker would do. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because they're sort of two different stages in his career. And I think that Under Siege was almost like the start of a second phase in his career. I mean, it was like they were, all of a sudden it was Die Hard, kind of thing. And they were almost trying to humanize him a little bit more, but he was still with Keith David and Marked for Death. He was just a killing machine. And I loved that.
Yeah.
It was so
I think
great.
Marked for Death has my favorite one-liner of his. I was telling you, in Marked for Death, guys, there's this gang leader and he dies, right? But then later he runs into him again and it turns out it's his twin or whatever. And they have this big crazy fight near the end and he almost dies and he throws him down like an elevator shaft and kills him. And then he tells someone, I hope they're not triplets because the guy's super dangerous. So I thought it was hilarious. So yeah, that was Marked for Death.
Comics.
Oh, Zayd's here. Hey, that's our
guys.
buddy
I'm looking over. I'm like Devil Flyer. I see you guys in the chat. Andrew Wilson, TBG Animation, Mighty Geek Studios, P Ear. Gotta love that. Robert Roberts. Let's see. We've got Tari Owe. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right. Or Oy. Am I pronouncing it? Let me know.
Tari's one of my regulars, man. He's been around for a long time. Love Tari.
Excellent. Yeah, it's good to see you guys. And it's Bob Newfart, of course. Always a pleasure. London Fog 66. Look at these guys. Good to have you guys in here.
Right.
Yeah, 36. Yeah.
So I heard there was I don't know if it was Face Off. Maybe this story. I heard this the other day. On there's a channel I watch on YouTube called Viking Samurai. He's fantastic. All he does is go in the 80s and 90s action movies too. He's fantastic with it. And he gets a lot of interviews. He interviews Sheldon Lettich, the guy that wrote and produced a ton of Van Damme movies, Rambo 3 and all that. He has all the fight coordinators from a lot of movies with Seagal and all that. And there was a movie where Seagal and Van Damme were supposed to face off, and I don't know if it was literally face off with John Woo. I don't think so, but it was something like that. Do you know anything about this? And they couldn't agree to it because neither one of them wanted to lose in the movie.
Yeah, you know what? I know that there was a plan to do that, and I think again it was an issue of egos, but it might have been face off because after Van Damme brought John Woo to the States and they made Hard Target, everybody assumed, and actually they made a reference to that in JCVD where he said, he's in the cab and the cab driver says, he could have cast you in Face Off. Right. You brought him to the States with Hard Target, and he's getting all that kind of grief. And I think that I don't know if that was true or not, but it's what was interesting to me when you brought up exit wounds, is when I realized Steven Seagal payday was over. Yeah, that's that time comes for us all. Is that the
one with that rapper Ja Rule? And they're in the prison in the ocean. Is that one?
Someone in the chat remind us, because I know there was another one too I was thinking of. That he did a few movies with rappers. He did one with DMX called Exit Wounds. Yeah, right. Exit Wounds is with DMX. The one with Ja Rule is something else. I got my rappers confused. There you go.
It had nothing to do with race. Well, it had to do with profession, not race. How dare you?
Well, it's funny too because when you brought up Under Siege, I actually didn't know till I was doing a little bit of research that I think it was in the chat. You guys can correct me. DMX exit wounds. There you go, guys. The thing that was interesting to me is that I believe the director of Under Siege was the director who directed Above the Law. So that director and him worked together on his first film and then came back and they did Under Siege together, which I thought was interesting. But check in let me know, chat, if that's the case. I'm pretty sure it was the same director for both of those. He loved his chasing scenes. Yeah. We could talk about the Seagal run.
Like a little Seagal run. It's a little funny.
He looks like a penguin on meth. I mean, it's completely nuts.
Yeah.
He's a riot, man.
Oh my God. So I don't know. I think he's done. I mean, he puts out these movies, direct to video, and I've tried to watch a few of them on Amazon Prime, and it's so weird. Oh, in that Sniper Special Ops, it was really one of the worst things I've ever seen, and I only saw clips of it. At the end, after he saves the day, the girl there, she tells him, "Are you really as good as they say?" And he goes, "Sometimes." It's like, you gotta be kidding me.
Hail Shadowhawk Backs. Good to see you. Yeah, it's one of those things, where I don't know how to. It's funny because if you would ask me who would have a harder time, and someone's asking also about B-Flaw and why the comic is named B-Flaw. So
we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that too. But if you had to ask me who I thought would age better career-wise, Seagal or Van Damme, I would have probably said Seagal because he already looked aged and weathered. It seemed to me like he could be, moved into a Clint Eastwood kind of thing. So you could get him into an Unforgiven, you know what I mean, from his career as a Western star. And, Van Damme was the kind of muscles from Brussels, youth was a big part of his whole shtick. But quite the opposite has happened. And I think a lot of it has to do with how difficult he was and how, cagey he was career-wise. I think people just I think that Jean-Claude Van Damme sabotaged himself when his ego, with all the Hollywood success. I mean, it can happen to almost anybody, you'd imagine. But Steven Seagal, I think, basically took it out on everybody around him. Like when he got a little bit of success, he was a nightmare to work with. So it is what it is.
That's what they say, but who knows? Daniel Russell says, I used to work with his stunt double at a carpet store.
Whoa.
Golly, I wish I knew some of what that guy had to say.
Yeah.
And this is unfortunately true. Both look not looking so great. Yeah, I didn't get any current pictures of Seagal because I didn't feel like piling on. The poor guy gets trashed left and right. So not
he's
good.
Listen, I got my license renewed recently. And when they were updating the photo, you can sort of see the young gal who was taking the picture was kind of like, wow, the ravages of time. It was dark. Half Past Dead is free on YouTube.
Oh, there we go. You, everyone
That's
run out. Everyone run out if you got an hour and a half to kill and you want to be slightly confused and entertained.
We need to make that, actually, that trailer. We need to go, everyone run out if you've got half an hour to kill. Check out Half Past Dead with Steven Seagal and Ja Rule.
All right. Well, I think we got enough Seagal in for now. We'll go deeper again absolutely. Next time. But I want you to explain to me why this one, I know you're passionate about this one. Why is this movie, Lionheart, why is this your favorite Van Damme movie? What do you love about this?
Boy, that's a really good question. I always loved, the location-based fight scenes. Going back to playing, fighting video games from the start, and you'd have a new location where you were fighting every time. I liked that aspect of it. It was kind of like a Street Fighter movie before the Street Fighter movie. But the other aspect of it is, and I'm blanking on the gentleman's name who played Joshua, but I think he might be Atlanta-based because I did watch a video someone had done with him from maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. I just thought he was a really good actor, and his scenes with Jean-Claude Van Damme I thought were great. I loved their chemistry together, where he brought a lot of good heart. To me, some of the best work in these action movies is by finding a supporting actor who can, work with the actor and get the most out of him. And I think that, Keith David did the same thing with Steven Seagal, because you got the sense he could bust his chops.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they had that relationship. And with those guys, it was more like, he saw this, maybe it was the whole, he saw this guy who was an immigrant who, come into the country to try to take care of his family. And he kind of at first sees, well, I can make some money off of this guy. And then over time, you can kind of see him going, nah, I don't, you know what I mean? Like you could see the guy kind of lose his cynicism over time.
Right.
And I like that.
Yeah, because he meets him at that fight under that overpass or whatever the hell it was.
And he's like, he sees this guy as his ticket. Basically, it's funny. It's a little bit like Proximo and Maximus in Gladiator.
Right.
Like, I can finally get out of this shithole because I've got this fighter. Like, yes, the Emperor's throwing on more fights, but I've got this fighter who can really make me something. Like, bring me out of this place. And I thought, oh, man. So I like that aspect of it, too.
Yeah. Oh, man, I just had his name on here. Hold on. I'm looking at Internet Movie Database here so I can help you out with that name. He was Harrison Page is what they say.
Nice. Yeah,
okay.
He has a real, I don't know, I forget, because I think he was trained, if I'm not mistaken, he was trained in the theater and, did a lot of different stuff. And he's, listed as a television actor, but he just, he brought a lot of heart to that role. He brought a lot of warmth to it. And I just think also that, Van Damme was starting to kind of find his groove on that movie, basically moving from, Bloodsport, Cyborg, Van Damme to, getting a little bit more of the humanity you were going to see in his character. His acting chops started to improve a bit in that. So, yeah. I mean, it was just a personal favorite.
Yeah, I do think that's a great. I forgot about when he fights the kilted guy in the parking lot.
Yeah, with the lights.
But I do think it's great that Joshua is that like Jiminy Cricket to Leon. Is that the character's name in Lionheart? Yep, that's right. To Leon, because at first, he is just cynical, just gambling on street fighting and stuff. And I think he sees something in Leon's heart, because the premise of the story, guys, is that Jean-Claude is his brother is killed, so he goes over goes to raise money for his brother's widow and child by street fighting, because it's all he knows how to do. And I think that Joshua, his sidekick there, kind of sees his heart like, oh man, you're not even doing this to enrich yourself or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I think that's why he doesn't want to be cynical and just use them to make a ton of money. So. And
what's interesting is just to kind of pair those movies up together is that if I recall correctly, that Above the Law originally started out as being titled Nico, and right. Lionheart originally started out, and I think its international marketing was Leon.
Oh,
so
really?
It's kind of really interesting that they had the name of the lead character for two of their movies, which was there's actually a trailer where they show Above the Law titled Nico.
I was
like, whoa! I was
like, that Japanese import poster that I have, that says Nico on it. It doesn't say Above the Law. The one I showed last week. I don't know. Do you remember that one?
I remember it so well. I drug it to my desktop, and on my things, I kind of put a little pin, on my desktop where I said, if you ever want to hire me to do an illustration for your book,
Beef
you
Law.
should totally have me do it in that style.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And honestly, I was going to tell you that that's what, here it is right here.
That right
My
there.
wife got me this for my birthday, I think, or something. And it cost a pretty penny. This is Noriyoshi Orai. I think I said it right. Forgive me if I didn't. He was a Japanese, obviously, master illustrator.
Beautiful.
And he did amazing posters. You know what? I have a whole folder of his work. You want to see some of it real quick?
Let's do it, man. Yeah.
Let me bust that out right here. So where did I put that? I just had it in front of me. Noriyoshi. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here's a bunch of his work righty here. Open with preview. Okay. Check this out. I say first that's a Frank Frazetta there, right? I say he's the Frazetta of Japan. That's how I feel. And no disrespect to Noriyoshi that he's not as good. But I just see there's like a quality of line and texture and an intensity because I saw Noriyoshi's own self-portrait and I remember this Frazetta self-portrait and I just feel like the same energy in it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
Just an intensity in those eyes, like he's a badass, this guy, clearly. But that one's it's just insane. This must be some horror movie. Beautiful. I don't even know what that's for. But you go to Google Images and just look up Noriyoshi. But let me see. Oh, here we go. He did a bunch of Star Wars stuff for I guess Japanese.
I remember these.
And
I had a book on that.
And a bunch of Godzilla posters too.
So good.
I need to track down an art book of his stuff. I'm sure you're the same as me, where your shelves are just endlessly cluttered with tons and tons of art books, right?
Yeah.
I think the prized possessions I have are my Wally Wood twice up, IDW one, and then I have a J.C. Linedecker, and I have a Paul Bonner. Those are my favorite ones I have.
J.C. Linedecker is amazing.
Is it Linedecker or Liondecker? I don't know.
Let's see. Well, I've always heard him called Linedecker, even though it's Linedecker, but I've heard it's said smoother through. And my mentor is a massive fan of his. I actually got a chance to go look at the originals, and I've actually seen some of the originals of his stuff. I saw some at Skywalker Ranch when I went there one time, and then I saw George has a few J.C. Linedeckers and some Rockwells. He has 2 Muka originals, Byzantine Blonde and Burnett, 2 of the most famous. And then he has a couple Maxfield Parishes, so he's got a great collection. And someone had said in the chat, I think it's P. Ear said about Keith David. Keith David, I was referring to, is in Marked for Death, so not in Lionheart, but more for Marked for Death. But
right.
These illustrators, this is what I want, because Phil Diaz and I are always talking about pulp back and forth on things, and I've been doing a lot of both, on my channel. For anybody not subscribed, please do. It's but I've been doing a lot of gouache and acrylic stuff inspired by Comicsgate stuff, just for fun. And when you showed me that poster, it was like an immediate, I went, that's, if I do something for your book, that's what I should do, because I love to do different stylistics, and certainly classic movie posters are one of those things. And I just think that that there's this weird, it's weird to me, but there seems like there's when you and I see things like this, even though we're working in the world of Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign, and even when I'm doing traditional work, I see that those old posters, and I just think there's something so cool that we could be doing with that. I don't know. It's like I love the appeal, because why it's not like you grew up with that poster being marketed to you. Do you know what I mean? It's something later that your wife buys for you, because it's like, this is art, and it's beautiful, man. I love those posters. Yeah,
I'd never even heard of Noriyoshi Orai or seen this poster until a year or two ago. And then I asked her, if you're thinking of getting me something, please get this. But oh my God, the guy's amazing. There's just enough cartooning. You know what I'm saying?
I don't there's I'm sure and I think your boy Aaron Lepresti was talking about it,
right?
That when I did the Apocalypse Now voiceover for Aaron for Comicsgate Kings, The thing that was funny about it is that he immediately brought up an artist that I have a huge book of over there, Bob Peak, who did the Apocalypse Now poster with the Brando with the water running down his head. And there's this great period in those movies or movie poster period where we had all these geniuses, Drew Struz and all those guys.
Right.
Yeah, beautiful stuff.
Are you a fan of Basil Gogos?
My God, yes.
Yeah,
Basil Gogos is amazing.
Yeah. Check him out, guys, on Instagram or whatever. I'm sure there's an account. I know I've looked at it. Classic, like Universal Monsters and all that campy horror stuff. It's really amazing. You guys ever see me wear those famous Monsters of Filmland t-shirts? You see me wearing those half the time on streams. I got like 4 or 5 of them. Those are a lot of those are Basil Gogos that I have. I know
I'm looking. I'm for, like, I can practically reach across the, like, right on the sofa over there, my Basil Gogos book. I'm super
okay.
And as far as why my someone had asked in the chat, I think it was Tari who asked. Am I pronouncing that right? Is asked in the chat, why is my character named Nosferatu? That's great. One, I'm a massive fan of the movie Nosferatu, like the original, the remakes, and then I love that kind of vampire aesthetic, so I wanted to reference that. And then I found out that as I designed this character, I thought Nosferatu would be an interesting way of taking Nosferatu and then, you know, making it a more of an aggressive hero name. But then I found out the literal translation, or it could be translated, was Iron Nose. And I went, I've got a piece of metal going through this guy's nose. This is perfect. I'm like, I got to use this. So yeah, it was weird.
Oh, that's
but yeah,
true.
Apocalypse Now.
Okay. Nosferatu, sure, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, I love. Oh yeah, well said. Apocalypse Now is the shit, man. It's awesome.
I've only seen that once. I remember it was intense as shit.
It is intense, and Lawrence Fishburne is in that, and he's like 5.5 years old playing.
Right.
Like I think he was 14.
He's
and
like
he was
the
playing
on the boat, right?
Yeah, God,
but he's Lawrence like the size of a grown man. It seems like.
Yeah, so. He's always had presence. You know, you can't. You know, him and oh gosh, who's the other amazing actor who has presence? Forrest Whitaker. Well, at some point we got to talk about Ghost Dog, which is one of my favorite movies.
I've never seen that, and so many people have told me that it's great.
So good. I love Ghost Dog. Love Forrest Whitaker in that. He's awesome. Yeah, I mean, honestly, there was I've had if that name hadn't been grabbed by somebody else, like, and at some point I want to have Nosferatu refer to his dog as the Ghost Dog. But there's this dog that's looking at him that's walking around during the movie that is another influence for that character, because he's so badass in that movie. I love Forrest Whitaker in that. And the music's awesome.
Yeah. Trencher 1375 Ghost Dog is awesome. Leg Kick 1, he's a great guy. He's always in the streams. Yeah, how about the flying guillotine? There you go. What is that referring to? Do you know what that's referring to? Did I miss something?
I think we got a little wrestling in there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's it's so funny too, because Aaron's thanks, man. I appreciate that. Bob Newfart's talking about Aaron's intro. Yeah, that was fun to do. Yeah, Robert Duvall is epic in that movie. Yep. You bet. Yeah, I mean, God, I love Robert Duvall's line, I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Right.
Smells like victory. Love that. Napalm in the morning. There you go.
Or Tom Taylor's SJW line in like an X-Men book, smells like mustard and bigotry. So not as good. Not as good. I don't want to judge, just not as good of writing, but
well, you know, if anybody wants to see an early SJW diss, if they've never seen it before, in the movie, another favorite movie of mine, Rising Sun with Wesley Snipes and
I saw that when I was just a middle schooler. Great action.
Hell yeah. Oh, that was
Sean Connery and Wesley Snipes, right?
Yeah, Sean Connery addresses Steve Buscemi playing a reporter.
Right.
And he says, what does he say? He says something like it was something like about something's phobia or something, like some current term for, you know, hipster racism during the time. And then he gets in the guy's face and basically says, you know, shut the fuck up or something. And I went, oh, wow. Even before now, like, it was every 30 years we run into this.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
It's so good.
Pop up again. We got just a random art question here from Cranberry Langers. What do you think of Lowe's artist, Greg Tocchini? Are you familiar with that comic book, Rick Remender and Greg Tocchini over at Image?
No, let me take a look at it.
Underwater saga. I'll say Cranberry Langers. I love the colors in it. The illustration style is rock solid, but it's not my cup of tea. It's very good. The illustration is just not.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Style, you know,
nice.
But the colors are out of this world in that. So
yeah, it's really interesting. It reminds me. Who does it remind me of? In a good way. Like, and here's the thing that happens with artists. A lot of times when people talk about, see your artwork, you know, anyone's artwork, not yours, but like mine, yours, anybody, they'll compare it to something. And I always say that, that I know that some artists kind of feel like, because there's this weird culture of that probably didn't exist back in the day of originality being the most important thing, and if someone compares you to somebody else, it's like an assault on your person, you know what I mean? Whereas if someone compares me to somebody who's good, I'm, even if it's not accurate, I'll be like, I'll accept the compliment is delivered, you know. But I look at this and it reminds me of some of the cool stuff that was being done in the 70s by someone in my chat was talking about this, Bodie's work, and also some of Jeffrey Catherine Jones's work on you know, the Game of Thrones artwork, Tarzan artwork that was done, which was just, you know, really out of this world stuff. And I see that kind of heavy metal kind of playfulness to those colors, but really cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show some real quick just so you guys can see what we're talking about here. So yeah,
Howard. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. I mean, you know that Remender is a great writer, so it's worth checking out for sure. I think it looks fabulous, the color in that. He uses those complementary colors and just the different color schemes really well. So yeah, Lo, that's a great one that you brought up there. Cranberry Langers. Do you drink a lot of is Langers cranberry juice? Are you representative of that organization?
Yeah.
And if so, why? It was a ridiculous question.
No, it's fine. No, listen, I have questions for the chat, although I watch so many other people's streams, and you know, and I'm one of those people who I'm a professional artist and illustrator, you know, who was also an academic and a teacher who was in the chat just like everyone else. Like I was excited to see Ethan streaming with Jeff Hicks. It was like a fun way back machine, you know, to the High Council when they were doing the show this morning. And but the thing for me is that I've been wanting to ask a particular member of the chat, goes by the name of Jay Bama fan, if he's a fan of James Bama's artwork, and that's why he's Jay Bama fan, the famous pulp cover artist who did the Doc Savage cover. So if you're ever on a stream, Gabe, and he's there, do me a favor, somebody ask him that question. Yeah, get to the bottom of it.
Ethan always calls him Jay Bama fan.
And that's why I never thought of it before. And then
I've always thought Jay Bama fan, and I always thought he was an Alabama football fan.
That's what I thought too. Assumed. Like Jay Bama fan, I thought that too because I'm from Tennessee, so it's like, you know, Bama only has one meaning, in that part of the country. So yeah, I'd love to know.
Right, Leg Take One has a great question.
Sure,
Gabe L. Chef, do you use action films for heroic poses you use in art? I know George Perez used to use wrestling magazines. Well, let me go ahead and answer that if you want to, Shanth. I'm going to grab something from right here to address.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll kill while you go grab that. Yeah. So the answer for that is yes. I am on Instagram. Yeah, I'm Shanth Enjeti Art on Instagram, and so yeah, you can find me there. And although I'm posting more on Twitter and things like that, but yes, I do. I actually have. I don't usually get the movies out to do it, but I have so many action poses. I know for a fact. Burned into my memory that when I'm working on Nosfero, there are poses that I can tell you on the first, third of the book where I've already utilized poses from movies and things like a pose like that. I remember that pose because they hold on it for a while, but that's like, you can see me draw fists, like the fist in that pose all the time.
Sure. Yeah. I'm a huge MMA fan. My house is the party house. Whenever there's a UFC, we just had a bunch of dudes over here on Saturday, and, here's a Francis Ngannou. This is a video, right?
Yeah.
And he's knocking someone out. I saw this video on UFC's Instagram the other day. So I screen recorded it, then forwarded to that part and paused it. And literally on the next page of Beef Law, it's going to be one of the panels. So was that
Alistair Overeem? Who was that he knocked out in that?
Yeah, that looks like Alistair Overeem. It does have his face. Yeah, that does look like
that was Overeem. The shot. Go ahead.
I think that was after he quit taking steroids. He wasn't. He wasn't. Remember when he was on steroids? He was just like the size of the Hulk. Then he quit taking them, and he still a big man, just not nearly as big. But
yeah,
speaking of that, I am slowly inking this. I'm working. I have other projects of priority. But
but
it's
you got to go full screen for that. Yeah,
right.
Kick me off here so I can see the art.
Yeah. So Beef Law is coming. I did a live inking stream the other day. That's our main hero, Maximilian Volkov. He's fine. You can see the factory drawn in blue pencil behind him. But I'm only inking a little at a time because other projects are priority right now. Namely, Oath of Blood, Oath of Bone, which will be launching on Indiegogo on President's Day weekend. Yeah. That's when I'll be having that book come out that me and Philippe are doing. Do you guys want to check that out really quick? Should I show it, Shanth?
Yeah, let's show it, man. Yeah.
Okay, let me dig around and find this here. Sorry for I asked that and then I'm not even ready to show it to you. Sorry.
Well, and I'll tell you guys this too, which is for action for me, watching those action movies probably affected my work in ways that I don't even know, but it taught me so much about heroism. It taught me so much about like how people who are in action movies know how to pose for maximum drama, even in kung fu films. And boxing is also a huge influence. So is MMA. I use the build of certain fighters, like Conor McGregor's weird reach and his shoulders, the way they're located. Like sometimes I'll see somebody and go, with Francis Ngannou, I mean, it's like I thought he was going to decapitate Alistair Overeem when he hit him in the head like that. But it was like that, and the Anthony Joshua uppercut to Vladimir Klitschko, where I thought, Jesus, I don't want to see Vlad paralyzed. He's a good dude.
Right.
That's a little rough, but yeah, love that stuff.
No, I love where we are with the heavyweights right now. The Klitschko brothers were good, but they weren't Americans, so they didn't get. I guess they didn't get publicity over here very much.
Yeah.
But let me show something really quick here. So this is launching on President's Day weekend. Oath of Blood, Oath of Bone. It's a book I've been telling you guys about. It takes place in the future, far, far in the future. You have chimera technology where human beings are bred with animals. You have transhumanism, human beings combined with computers. You have an oppressive government like in They Live, but it's not a worldwide government. It's just this big kingdom that has all their people enslaved. And our heroes live outside of that big walled city, and they're like rebels trying to get in and help the people get out from under the control. Because all the people are oppressed and all that, but they don't know it. They're happy. Total propaganda, total mind control, just like They Live. You know what I mean? There's no glasses that let them see everything. But the book opens up in the 14th century, like in the 1300s, and that's what this is. And you'll see, if you like, I need to take a drink. Sorry for talking.
Go take a drink, man. Yeah.
If you like Goonies and you like Stranger Things and all that stuff, that's the tone of this opening scene here. It is so much fun. It's some kids having an insane adventure. And Philippe is working on it right now. He sent me a ton of concept art. And again, these are the illustrations here. His acting is so good.
Yeah. Animation background.
Right. He went to that Gobelin school in Paris. And they accept very few students every year. But and he's doing this aquarelle on the flesh here. I don't know if you can. Is it coming through on the internet? I don't know. I can see it on my.
It is actually. Yeah, I can see it. Oh wow, nice. Yeah.
But his acting is so good. In this panel here, this girl's being a little bitch. She's messing with the big guy next to her, mocking him and stuff. And you can just see it, the way he has her eyes and her mouth set and everything. And here he's like, "Hold on, guys, do you see that?" And you can just. Philippe's acting is amazing. And again, this comes from all his time at Disney and all that stuff. So I'm really, really, really excited to be working with him. That's just that first page there. Let me show some other stuff from that book though. So again, President's Day weekend, we will be just grooving on this and launching this book for you guys. So I'm really excited about that. Oh, I got to get this out of my way. Sorry, Photoshop.
No, take your time. I'll take a look at the chat there. Yeah, and someone was saying Mel directing a Lethal Weapon movie, I think would be really cool to see. He's a hell of a director. I would say that since I mentioned a book called I think it was is it Tepu, if I'm pronouncing that right, a great manga about female MMA fighters. Yeah, I was just watching Gem Mint Collectibles for anybody who checks out that channel on YouTube, and he was reviewing one of the newest collective Berserk manga editions, and I'm just so bummed that artist passed away before he could finish his story. He was in his 50s. He was.
Okay, I was going to say, was he elderly or what? Because I feel like Berserk is semi-new.
Yeah, well, it's
How
been going
old
on
is
like the 80s, but it was contemporary, I think. It started way back,
Oh,
or maybe, but it's like he started writing it, making the books in the 80s, and then it's like been ongoing. But yeah, he died like no case has been clear in my opinion. He died of being a manga artist, like heart, health, like working too much, like he worked himself to the bone. But yeah, oh, that's beautiful, Gabe. Yeah, you got to make that full screen. That's beautiful, man.
yeah. Okay, hold on here. Let me see. Make it a little bit bigger. But yeah, we're having so much fun with this thing. And Philippe is just an absolute monster. The script I'm writing has a lot of, it's again, I always say Goonies and stuff because it's just a ton of adventure and excitement and humor. I love that there's that carefree style. The way Han Solo felt, like that kind of
Yeah, yeah.
adventurous humor like that. So that's what I bring to my scripts and stuff. And we're just having a great old time. And the women are going to be beautiful. The men are going to be handsome and heroic. The villains
Hell
are
yeah.
just awful and evil. The stakes are very high, and everything looks freaking cool. So, we're here to earn every penny for the people that want to support this book, bringing some great entertainment. Oh, Trencher 1375 gives Norwegian kroners 100 of those, and he says, "I'm a comic fan, not an artist, but I think one of the reasons manga took over the market is because they have better action than comics. So you focusing on action gives me hope." Yes, that's one thing Philippe and I discussed. Is I told him I want there to be movement on every page, if possible. But I understand you have to have a quiet moment so the action sticks out. Because if every page looked like this, it would become boring. It would become wallpaper. So I understand there has to be a juxtaposition. But I will say, as much action as possible, absolutely. We're going to want to blow your socks off because this is a static medium. This is two-dimensional and it's freeze frame. So we have to be that John Buscema, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. We got to blow the action out. And I think my love of action movies and all that, and Shanth too, it's really going to help us deliver that because I'm just so enthusiastic about it. I don't know.
I
Does
love
that
it, and that's
a lot
the
of what
thing.
you're illustrating?
Yeah, I mean, someone was asking about seeing Nosfero work, and the thing about it is too, and I'll grab some of this stuff, but it's like when it comes to that book, the thing that first of all, the thing I'm always like, what can I show that will not get your channel struck? So I'll use my hands to cover up this page right here a little bit there. So just to give you guys an example, let's move my hand the wrong way. Just to give you guys an example of what the work looks like for Nosfero. These are what, and we'll get up. I always forget that I can actually hold it closer so you guys can see.
Right.
It. This is what the work for Nosfero is looking like right now. And when I'm doing things like this, whoops, whoa, can't show that Cyberfrog piece. Sorry, I'm not supposed to show that.
Oh, you showed me that.
I did. I showed you that, after our stream, right? But here's the page in progress, so you can kind of get a sense of what you make the light sort of show that a little bit better here.
Fantastic.
But you can get a sense of of what we're doing and what we're up to in these stories, trying to really make the women beautiful, the heroes heroic, and the action, off the hook.
Right.
And so for me, what I was going to say is, and it's why I love doing those intros and having fun with them so much is I love what we're doing in CG. The Comicsgate is such a fun place to hang out. We don't need to all, like, there's no marketing person in charge other than so that I swear there are definitely artists who are doing so much for other artists, and I want to thank all of them because Ethan and John and all those guys have been so great, and Shane and Dan Fraga who for marketing other people's work. Michael Bancroft, who's been huge for me,
right,
with his help, and yourself as well. But the thing about it is that we're not, Ethan is a weird person in this regard because I wouldn't think this, but I think a lot of people would think Ethan would go, I want to see you illustrate Cyberfrog, and it's got to be, and he does have notes when I got the character off. But he's like, but I want to see your version of it. Like when Dale's illustrating Cyberfrog, and that's what everybody is like. You talk to people and everybody's like, bring your thing to it. And it's such a feeling of independence and creativity, guys, such a feeling of that. Yeah. And so to me, that's what I'm psyched about. You know, it seems like we just, you know, I feel like we just had our first show of doing this yesterday.
Right.
And it's like we're already doing it again.
Yeah.
You know, I'm watching your streams while I work, and if I've got a paintbrush in my hand, I don't always comment in the chat, you know, because then I got to respond to people while I'm painting. And I know
and you catch me watching yours at night when I'm winding down because you go on so late. It's funny. I'm on the West Coast and you're on the East Coast. You're staying up later than me, though. Jeez.
Yeah, I do about 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night. Is what I operate. I've been that way since I was a kid. I don't know what's wrong with me, but
I'm a 6 hour a night guy. So I'm right there with you where I'm not sleeping 8, 10 hours. Some people,
but you probably do mornings.
Yeah, I do mornings just because it works better for my wife and all that. She gets up.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, and you know what I mean. So I did too many years of I'm up till 2, 3, 4, and then I just basically don't see my wife during the day, and it was just too many years of that. So I quit that a few years back. So it's interesting to be in the land of the awake during the day. But
I know. Listen, it's healthy, man.
Right. But I love what you said about Comicsgate. Everyone is just bringing their thing, their groove, their flavor. If I could get a little young with it on there, everyone's just bringing their style to it, and I think that's a really, really awesome thing. It does feel like Image Comics 2.0 or something. Like there's a ton of excitement, there's total creative freedom, and you got to sink or swim based on the merit of your work. And when you said that you wanted to do a poster for me for maybe Beeflaw or something in the style of that Noriyoshi, all right, I'm already like envisioning it like a kid thinking about Christmas presents. It's very exciting to me. So I will have to take you up on that.
I switch. That's the thing about it too, which is I definitely, you know, obviously I have a stylistic. There's a look. Yeah, Gabe streams are a favorite. Hell yeah, they
thank you. And here's a good one. I like Gabe. Well, thank you. And then hold on, I gotta grab this one. Tari, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Tari says Shanth Enjeti Art. I just followed you on Instagram. Please follow Shanth.
Thank you, brother.
And I appreciate it. Channel. I'm gonna find your channel's address and throw it in the chat. Go ahead and tell them whatever you wanted to say. Sorry.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, you know, just in terms of my art and my work. So I have a good friend who makes Star Trek fan films in Oklahoma named Michael. Terrific guy. He's got some fabulous, I found him because of a fabulous Last Jedi rant that he did. But but he's a huge horror fan, introduced me to horror movies. And when he wanted, said, you know, I said, hey, I'll do a poster for your latest film. I'll look at artists and take my style and try to make a poster in that vein. So I really haven't done a lot of acrylic work. If you look behind me, this is a painting I did for fun in acrylics that was, actually, I just realized I'm grabbing the wrong camera here, where I wanted to do the ultimate cat poster, the ultimate hang in there cat poster. And so it's a tiger hanging on a branch that's breaking, and there's a kingfisher bird about to land.
Let me make you bigger here. Sorry.
There you go. And there's two snakes that are on the branch there. And then he's hanging on. There's a kingfisher about to land. And then there's a giant tsunami with sharks in it coming as a volcano erupts behind him. And my whole thing about art and my whole thing about this stuff is when I have a job in front of me, I'm like, what do I need to do? So when Phil Diaz and I started talking and he goes, I want to just we're both super big pulp fans. That's why I broke out my acrylics to do this painting of a character from the Lost Pages 1, which you can get Lost Pages 1 and 2 on his Indiegogo right now. Right. And then also another live campaign is First Man 2 Learning Curve. And I started working on a painting of 2 characters from the First Man superhero verse. And this is Penumbra and Apollo from Andy Smith's First Man. And so I will switch.
Look at those 2 people.
Look at those 2 people. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Cranberry Langers, thank you so much for the $2. And,
awesome.
Chad Doss says best hanging there poster ever.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic, man. You should just sell that as a standalone item. It's hilarious.
I should. Yeah, maybe we need to Comicsgate fund that or something at some point for sure. Yeah, I love tigers too. Yeah.
Trencher 1375 says this is you are awesome and you're here all the time. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Trencher.
Yeah, I just want to do a little just saying thank you. Like you guys are so positive and so so encouraging. And Shanth, I'm sure without even asking you, this was the dream when you were a little Shanthito. That I'll make it Spanish. When you were little Shanth, this was the dream. Right. Making art, loving. You love it first. You're the first audience. That's how I am. I love to see my own art when it's done. Then when the people see it and love it, it's like, oh my God, they love it too. And then you get paid so you can keep continuing to do it. It's just you guys are the best, Comicsgate. You really are.
This is what we get to do, guys. We get to do.
That feels so Guy Davis and BPRD.
Oh, thank you.
Thomas. That's what it feels like in the best way possible.
Dude, listen, it's like, it's kind of like this, man. It's like, if people get excited, the coolest thing about going to conventions back in the day, I can't even see you now. You got to get yourself on screen so I can. I was like, going, I looked over and I went, wait,
I'm looking right at you, forgetting that I'm not even my beautiful face.
No, it's great, man. But it's so funny. This is the thing for me, man. Right. So when I was doing conventions and things like that, and I would meet people, both on either side of the table. And it was this chance to talk to a community of people who love the same things that you love, and we go into detail. We don't have to agree because the whole point was to be introduced to something you didn't know. And when I was in school, I would go to my local comic shop, and talk to the owner, Wade, for like hours. God bless him for listening. And I would just be, seriously, God bless that man. We actually went to the same church back in the day, and it was, and it's one of those things to where, to me, I feel like that has been missing from my life in this kind of hypercritical sort of thing where people don't know how to have fun. And in Comicsgate, we know how to have fun. Like you and I was watching the stream you were on this morning, watching the Christmas movie. Yeah. And I was like, and I'm drawing and watching that, and I'm just dying. And it's like making the holidays better for me.
Right. For those of you that don't know, Ethan is watching public domain, like comedy shows from the 30s, 40s, 50s. And he wants me and other guys to join him every morning. The only trouble for me is I live on the West Coast. These guys are out in Philly and New York, and it was like 6:50 or something. He posted the link. So I ambled into the kitchen and set my iPad up and had some coffee. And after about a half hour of being on the air, I woke up, I think. So it was really fun, though.
You love the same movie I did. You know? The movie, oh God, who was it? I'm blanking on the name. I actually went and got it marked on YouTube. The movie where the guy is shopping.
Oh, Jack Benny.
Jack Benny, thank you. Right. And I was dying with you guys watching. I was like, geez. And I didn't realize that was go ahead.
Oh, I'd heard of Jack Benny, but I'd never seen him, and he was that was so funny.
We have the same. Yeah.
I would say it was so funny. What I thought was beautiful about it is that it was funny without being hateful. And I said that I either thought that or said I was very hazy this morning with the coffee and being so sleepy. I went to bed like at 2, and Ethan got me up. I saw his message at 6 or 6:30, and I said to myself, "Wow, this is really funny, and it's not cynical, it's not hateful, it's not that Deadpool humor that I can't stand." And then Ethan said it later, "I'll see they're being funny and they're not being hateful." It was just silly. It was like real life humans doing Looney Tunes. It was just over the top silly.
When I watch White Christmas, because I love Bing Crosby and that, and I love watching that movie with my family. That line where these two people have got their sister and their best friend who are just terrible at dating. Yeah, Mel Blanc was what a great voice actor and talent. But they've got these two people that they care about who they can't get into a relationship, and said something like I forget the line, but something like it'll be a miracle if he can get her to date him or something like that. And then the other guy says about Bing Crosby, well, she's in there with the champ, the champ staying single. And I just, it's funny because we all know people that were like, are a nightmare to fix up, that you're like, when are they going to find somebody? Like, you don't have to. What was interesting is when it switched over to the Lucille Ball show that was later Lucille Ball, it instantly felt like all the comedy was about complaining and conflict. Yeah. And it kind of sucked the air out of it for me. And I started realizing the difference in those two forms of comedy. It was really weird.
Yeah, it was pure negativity. Her and was it Ethel is the friend there? They were just arguing about every little petty thing. And it was like jumping out of the jacuzzi into the pool. You notice it even more because of the juxtaposition. Speaking of Bing Crosby, I saw on Christmas Day last year, I watched with my mom. Is it called Holiday Inn?
Oh, Lord, yes.
Yeah, that was, as the kids say, problematic, some of that stuff.
Dude,
where they had no idea the whole blackface scene. I was like, oh. Well,
let me tell you this, guys.
That was a choice for sure.
Yeah, I saw White Christmas. I had never seen that movie. Ordered it on Blu-ray sight unseen. Got to that sequence, and I actually didn't like the dynamic between the characters. Then I got to that sequence, and I was like, "This Blu-ray's going in the trash. I don't want this shit at my house, man."
Yeah, I mean, The one I'm talking about, Holiday Inn, what was that, like 1945 or 46 or
Yeah.
something? So I guess
Whew.
it just,
But it was,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna, no. You and I are just hilarious. Like when we talk, like we need. This is the thing, guys. There's always a slight lag with us, and I'm still learning how to do it. But it's
Right.
like this is a conversation we'd be having over like pizza, or better yet, tamales.
Ooh.
But this is a conversation we'd be having there. But guys, this is the thing. I think it was, who was the other actor? Was it Gene Kelly who was in that with Bing Crosby? His character, whoever was in that movie with him, was similarly so cynical, and there was like a nastiness to the comedy that it was interesting to see the difference between Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby, because there was such heart, and it really felt like that was the thing about the movie that initially kind of turned me off about it. Yeah. And then when I saw, to me, watching White Christmas and then seeing that, I was like, left a bad taste in my mouth from the off, because you've got good people trying to, you said it was 1941. It was clearly had a little bit of the 20s left over in it. And White Christmas was we fought in World War II. Right. We've come home. And it's so much more of a human movie to me.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful in that way.
Have you ever seen The Best Years of Our Lives?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I only saw that this year. And my aunt told me, my Uncle Dave, who passed away in 2008, when he was young and a single guy, him and his buddies used that movie as a shibboleth. They used that movie as a litmus test on women. They said, if you're dating a girl and you kind of like her, you want to make it serious, show her The Best Years of Our Lives. And if she doesn't cry, never call her back. So
that's
it's
a
about
damn good bit of guy advice. Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, it's a real heartfelt story about some guys who are veterans who've come back from World War II, and they're trying to like figure their lives out. And it's a very dramatic movie, but it's also very funny. It's got some heart in it. And it is from the late 40s from that movie. It's a very old movie, but it's a really good one. And I only saw it this year after my aunt told me that story. My Uncle Dave, God rest his soul, he placed, I think, 11th or 10th in the World Series of Poker. That was his dream, was to be. He was a big-time lawyer, a really successful lawyer, but he wanted to be a poker player since he was very young. He ran a poker night at his dorm at the University of Colorado Boulder. And do you remember the pro wrestler Vader? Built like a refrigerator and a red leather mask and all that. He chased my uncle in the dorm, and my uncle jumped out the second-story window.
I would have.
Because of the poker, because he wouldn't pay his debts in poker. My uncle was saying he was welching on his bets. So, he went to college with Vader. Vader was on the football team. So that's my Uncle Dave. He was a good dude. So,
but it's funny too, because we were talking about, I was seeing some people talk about, writing and story in the chat, and we're here, we're talking about action movies, and we talk about things like, the difference between a Seagal movie and a Van Damme movie, or we talk about the difference between a movie like Holiday Inn, blackface aside, and a movie like White Christmas. And the thing about it is that for me, the way that when I'm thinking about writing and the way I'm thinking about structure or how I put things together, part of it is intuitive, and part of it is that, but I'm always thinking about somebody reading it, and I always think it's important, for me at least, to think about great stories and think about like how things sync up. So for example, when I look at the first Blade movie, for all of the other things that are going on in it's such a perfect balance. Like the casting of like a movie star like Wesley Snipes, mainly because he couldn't get the rights to Black Panther, which is so fascinating.
Really?
They wanted to do a Black Panther movie. Yeah, that's what his dream was, and that wouldn't work out, so he got Blade. And then putting Chris Christopherson in that movie with him, and the actress whose name I forget, but she's a really great actress who plays Karen in that movie. Right. It's little moves like what is this character's motivation? What are they about? What are they looking for? And it's that perfect mixture of, even in an action movie, those quiet moments and those action moments. So something that we've talked about with God, what am I looking for here? Oh my God, why am I blanking on this? Oh, with Steven Seagal. When I see a movie like Marked for Death, that movie has got its share of interesting things, but when, and it's got, it's stuff in it, but there's this sequence where I believe his niece gets shot in it, and he's in the hospital, and he says, let me tell you, goes to the doctor, goes, let me tell you, doctor, you treat that little girl like she's the president of the United States. And he goes, we treat all our patients. And he goes, no, like the president of the United States. And it's like one of these moments. And then they've got the walk, it's like, you see them, turn around and start walking towards the camera. The guys are going to go out and dispense some justice, but it's
right.
You got to have, like when I'm looking at, when I look at different Comicsgaters comics, and I know Ethan's going to hurt us in the second issue of Cyberfrog, like you can just sense it coming. I've been on streams where he's let stuff slip, watching streams and been like, oh shit. But it's like when you see that, you have to establish enough characters and know what it's going to take to hurt or affect them. It's the same thing when you're showing a movie as a litmus test. Like, do you have a human reaction to the sequence?
Right.
And how do you set that sequence up?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I feel like writing. I've been writing since I was a kid. I won a ton of awards for it in college for my comedy writing. Nice. And I think one thing a lot of people miss, because I get people DMing me, because I got a little bit of notoriety and fame in the last few months. So a lot of strangers write me, and I got this idea for a comic. Would you promote my comic? Would you work on my comic? So I've read some people's scripts, I've read some people's outlines, and the thing I keep noticing, for those of you out there that want to write, is you have these moments, these payoffs that so-and-so dies, or so-and-so falls in love, or so-and-so whatever. You have that moment. But what so many people don't do is what Shanth is saying. They don't earn the moment. And art, they say art is subjective, and I would argue it's not. I mean, taste is subjective, but art is patterns. And patterns, they're immutable. They exist in nature. We didn't create the patterns. So the story has to go A plus B is C, or A plus B is D. There's a few options. But I always, in stories, there's verisimilitude, right? So that means the story agrees with itself. So the example I always give is, you could have Jon Snow fighting the Night King and all the frozen zombies, but he can't escape in a Jeep Cherokee. You understand? Like, that doesn't make sense in that story. Jeep Cherokees are real. We can believe in Jon Snow and zombies, but we never established that both of those are in the same world. So when you bust that out, you're like, well, what the hell is this? And I do see that in like more amateur scripts and stuff where people, they don't have verisimilitude, where the story agrees with itself, and they don't earn the moments. They want the big emotional payoff, but you got to work for that stuff. So Shanth is exactly right about that. And in the stuff I'm writing, that's why I'm so happy to be working with Philippe on, let's go here on this stuff, because he's a Disney man, and I bring him these scripts, and he'll tweak, a few words here and move this scene there. And I'm amazed at what he does with my scripts. And I've said this, I think I said on Ethan's show on Monday, and I asked him, we had a meeting, almost a 2-hour meeting, working on the script, breaking story. And I asked him, how do you do that? I'm like, did you learn this at Disney? And he's like, yep. So I don't know, even though he was an animator, they're just the masters of storytelling. So I'm really blessed to be working with an amazing dude like that. So
yeah, and Tari, I am absolutely referencing her. And I believe her father was, I think he was killed or something. It was an awful, awful story when I heard it, and must have been incredibly traumatic. It was like about 5 or 6 years ago, but she's an amazing actress. And the thing about it too is, and this is an interesting thing, but I've always had sort of the way I think about story and how you set things up. I'll never forget, I walked out of the movie Up that a lot of people loved, and I thought it was good. But people asked me, did you like that movie? I said, I could have loved it. And they said, what do you mean? I said, it was missing this one moment that I thought they were setting up, and I would have liked to have seen it. And and my wife was like, what do you mean? I was like, so this guy loses his wife at the beginning of the movie. His whole world is sort of shattered. He goes off to have this adventure, and then he's going to have a change of understanding throughout this adventure and be able to go on with his life. Great story. Love it. Cool. But what I thought should have happened at that sequence in the movie, for those of you guys who've seen it, where they're fighting in the house, is I really thought they should have metaphorically manifest that. So I really thought that his glasses should have been knocked off in that fight, and he can't see. And he's like, everything's blurry, and he's fumbling around the house. The kid's dangling from the house. What am I going to do? I got to rescue the kid. He's trying to get his balance, and finally his hands hit something, and he's like, oh my God, a pair of glasses. And I thought there should have been some lead up, like where his vision, his glass prescription, his wife always helps him get his glasses, prescription fixed, and she's not there. So everything's a little blurry, and now he's blind. And so he finds this pair of glasses, and he puts it on his face, and all of a sudden everything for the first time through his eyes is perfect vision. And he realizes it's his wife's glasses that she left behind. And so now he's connected to her perception, or her dreams for him. Go on and have your next big adventure. it ties this thing together. And those kinds of things where you bring back something really powerful about how do you change the way you experience things, I think are things that I get excited about story wise. You know, when I'm watching movies, I want to see that moment where they don't tell you what you're feeling. You see it. It's like when Luke Skywalker looks at his mechanical hand after he cuts off Vader's hand and is like, what the hell? Like, I'm doing, it's not like, when I saw it as a kid, I didn't understand metaphor. So I thought, what happened? Is there some connection? I was like, oh, like later I got it. Or, you know, I've got to save you and unmasking him. And so there's all these beautiful story moments that you set up, you know, that are great.
Yeah, I find so much joy in writing. I really, really love it. I prefer illustrating, obviously, is my first love, but I really love writing, and I love writing comedy. And I'll give you guys in the chat a brief. It's all you need to know about writing jokes, and if you practice this premise, you'll be able to write jokes easily. So logic is A plus B is C, right? That's how you write story. You know, you can have a twist or this or that. All comedy is A plus B is D. And what D is, it's still true, but it's the unexpected. My daughter has been doing stand-up comedy very successfully since she was 16 years old. She quit it for about a year and a half. She had a horrible breakup like 2 months ago. So all that heartbreak and this creepy shithead dude she dated has inspired her. She's out at the comedy club right now. She's going out 7 nights a week. She's killing. She's written so much great material. And she wrote a great joke yesterday, and she tells me her jokes. And she said, yeah, and my daughter's like me. I'm a big man. I'm 6'4". I lift weights. I'm big. My daughter's very tall, and she resembles me and stuff. And, you know, she's like, you know, a daddy's girl. She's like me. She's big. She's fast talking. She's funny like me. And she's on stage saying, yeah, I'm like my dad. I'm tall. I'm funny. I'm an artist. I beat the shit out of my mom. And so you see that there. That can be true, that a man beats his wife. That's a true thing, but it's that ABD. It's the unexpected. You never saw that coming. So she's a brilliant comedian. So I'm very, very happy for her. So that's your lesson on how to write comedy. It's ABD. Don't go ABC, because then that's just normal. It's not funny. The unexpected is that's how you get your joke there. So
I got Malin. The only time I was on the Comicsgate Presents stream with Malin, and I was absolutely nervous. Like, it was so funny. After that, he popped on my stream that time, which was so cool of him to do, and it was so fun. But I actually got him with a stolen joke that. So I'm sure he'd heard it before, but it just made me laugh. Where I said I was talking about when I did Shane's intro, and him and Yanzi were, you know, expecting their first kid, and, you know, the stress of a dad and how I wanted to help him. And I said, and I remember, you know, back to when, you know, my wife was, you know, first got pregnant, and I used that joke from Naked Gun where I said, and if I ever find that guy, and I got Malin to crack up, and I went, see, because I assumed that he would have the Michigan humor, and he absolutely does, man. Right. He totally. But you're right. It's you're going in one direction, but I think it's also the if you lead in with sincerity and then you hit somebody with something that's totally not for a moment, you know, Malin's humor. It's funny to me about when you talk about different people's comedy styles. A lot of those guys crack me up. Ethan and Cecil crack me up like crazy, but Malin has this kind of particular brand of dark humor that will get me sometimes. Right.
Yeah, Monday, Ethan's like, what do you think? And Johnny's all murder, you know, killing, posing bodies. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, he's A plus B to Z.
Right,
he's
right.
He's the final destination of comedy. That's what I love about him.
There's nothing like that brotherhood though, where you're just when I do the UFC fights, like I did on Saturday, only men are allowed. All the wives, sisters, girlfriends, they're not allowed to come to the house. I ban them. No kids, and it's just dudes. Dudes allowed to be dudes. And my buddy, my two best friends from like childhood, I've known one since we were 9, the two of us, and the other one I met like a year or two later. So, and we're all about 40 something now, 40 years old. And so the three of us are in a private chat on the phone, and he says, hey, you want me to pick anything up to eat? And I said, whatever you like. And then the other guy chimes in, okay, that means he's going to bring a bag of dicks then, It's just like, well, again, that's that ABD. It could be true, but it's the unexpected. And,
what was it Jimmy Cagney said about art, that art is life plus caprice? I've always loved that line. And I think that, when there is more, to me, sometimes there is more comedy, creativity, and almost like a mechanism for learning that goes on in Comicsgate chats than you see in most people's, you know, profound lectures about how things work. There, I mean, I get dropped by the chat all the time. I'll just start dying laughing, and it's kind of like it's like what you know, your daughter is doing. You know, it's comedy, right? It's she goes in there, and you kind of get forged in that scene, you know, of comedy scene. You're going on stage, and it's people. You know, to me, the fact that comics, and I have a friend who does stand up, and he's an artist as well, comic book artist as well, and he's fearless. Like the fact that you can bomb and then go back and do it again. It's the same thing with how we all get good at art. You know, I don't know if you remember your first rejection letters. I mean, I remember getting them starting at 11 or 12. You know, I was sending out samples to people and getting those letters. But it's like you could wonder all day, you know, what makes somebody keep, you know, going back to the board. But sooner or later, what's that expression? A good artist goes until they get it right, and a great artist goes until they can't get it wrong. For me, that's kind of what it is. It's like just that practice.
Well, yeah, as an artist, if you're crazy about art like we are, it's like, well, what else is there? What else am I doing today? You know what I mean? I'm going to just look at my phone all day and eat chips or something. Like, no, I got to get shit done. I'm going to live once and then that's it, man. You know, and I have goals. So, yeah, the work, the journey, that's most of the fun. Honestly, the payoff, there's actually a little bit of depression when you finish something because it's like, what?
Yeah.
That's it? Because your imagination imagined it perfect and amazing. That's everything in life. Whether it's food or sex or graduating with some degree or buying a home. Or I heard Adam Carolla once famously say that like wanting a Ferrari is so much more exciting than owning one. Because if you own a Ferrari, after a few months, that's your car. It's just like we all know this. All of us, whether you bought a Ferrari or a Pinto, you bought a new car. How fucking exciting is that for like the first week? And you want excuses to just drive all over. And then after a while, you're like, this car, I need to get rid of it. I need a new car. You know, so
that's the thing about it, right? You hit the nail on the head. You've been working in, gosh, we've both been. How long have you been working in comics? 1,000 years, give or take.
If you're asking me, who the hell else would be asking? I got into comics in. I did like a Garfield style strip at my college newspaper. I don't know if that counts, in 2001. So I've been a professional since 2000 or 2001 as a
you've been in comics as long as I was in teaching, and I've been doing, you know, illustration stuff and working since I was 17. So we're about the same in that regard. But what I think a lot of people, the reason I like boxing, and something that Mike Tyson says that I think is great, or that Customato taught him, which is, he goes, discipline is doing something that you don't feel like doing as if you love it. And so much of what we do, like, I have to be honest with you, since I've been working, you know, and doing my Comicsgate stuff, and even with my first art books 1 and 2, I've been like, I get up in the morning and there's not enough hours in the day to make artwork. Like, I would not sleep if I could just paint and draw through the day.
Agree completely.
You're when you're doing your work and you're got several projects, you know, the reason why, sorry to get off on this tangent here, guys.
No, tangent away, friend.
The reason I made this is how much I care about Comicsgate. And it's the same thing when I did the intro for Incellivision. I you know, I'm ride or die with Ethan, man. Like, that guy cracks me up. He's brought me joy and laughter. But when I make intros, I'm always thinking about the person. There's actually a lot of heart in those intros. Right. And when I made yours, I was like, I'd listen to you talk about what you do and your things and everything like that. And I went, this guy is a colorist. He's a writer. He's an artist. And I started thinking about all these different things you are. And that's where the triple threat thing came for me. He likes Van Damme.
Okay.
So that's where the triple threat came from. You know how that joke, it's like, I'm a dancer, I'm a singer, and I'm you know, an actor. I'm a triple threat. That's where that came from.
Let's see it really quick. I'll cue it up here real quick.
Do you know what I'm saying?
This is hold on. Pause that and restart. Let me go full screen on that. I'll go full screen, move it back to the beginning. This is my intro on Ethan Show Comicsgate King that Shanth did. It's really amazing. Here we go.
Triple the electricity. Triple the elegance. Triple tight.
Would never in my life wear black silk underwear. I'm with you on that one.
Triple threat.
Oh, dude, that's fantastic. And that's Greg Stinchfield from Newsmax. I did an interview on his show when I was driving back from Florida like 3 weeks ago. I did it in a hotel room on my iPad. And that was really fun. I went on there and he wanted to talk about me walking away from Superman because all the.
But why were you guys
bullshit.
talking about silk underwear? No, okay, go ahead.
Oh. Take your black silk underwear and go back to Disneyland.
Go back to Disneyland.
That's right. Oh, we had a great thing here, and I think you can apply this to life. Wonderful comment from Aldous on the farm just off Orwell Lane. I love the name, by the way. Part of the disassociation with a car is the lack of wrenching. Put some time on that car, and you'll always want to drive it. Think about how you could apply that to everything in life, man. Yeah. If you're just handed stuff, or if you bleed for it, you know what the difference is. Wonderful comment.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I don't know if you guys put up Christmas lights or into the whole decorating thing and everything like that, but we've always done that around my household, and my son has always been super into it. And I remember one year, he was like, want to do it, and we had a lot of stuff going on, and we're like going, well, why don't, you can do it by yourself now, And yesterday, it's become his thing, and so yesterday he put up the Christmas lights because he's got a lot of different stuff going on. And he's like, you guys want to come out and see the lights? And I thought, how cool is it? This little kid that I'm making Christmas magic for, during his childhood, he's 16 years old and he goes out there and spends 2 hours outside doing the Christmas lights on the front of the house. And now he's a part of making the magic. And it's like, this is the coolest thing about this stuff, guys. When I look at this chat, it's like, what's the definition of politics? I'll tell you, poly comes from the Latin root word that means many, and tick is a little blood-sucking verb. That's my favorite joke. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Well, the one I heard too, which was someone said, if you've got 2 people, you have a relationship. If you've got 3 people, you've got politics. That always made me laugh. And it's a funny thing, right? It's there. So many of us, and I'm so grateful for even though it goes through its changes. When I saw Jeff Hicks there, and thinking about the old Fandom Menace days, is that I felt like I was going crazy with how depressed I was by culture. I was like, I need to see culture that's aspirational. I would see little glimpses of it, but I'd go, it feels like there's this tsunami of, shit, politics, depression, things that basically make you want to stay in bed and not get up and do things. Now, I've always been able to get up and do things, even when things are shit. But I go, where is this great stuff? And I finally met some people going, this is shit. And I said, oh, there's other people saying this. And it's so funny how a bunch of people banding together and being, a part of this, thing and saying, let's fight. Hell yeah. You've got to read that one, man, because that's it right there.
Hail, Gabe and Shanth, keep kicking ass, you two, and taking names. I'm going to take a swig of water. Someone asked earlier, and I had your comment up and I didn't address it. You're asking tequila, bourbon, whatever. I'm alcohol free. I don't drink. I don't mean to be that guy. When someone says, I actually don't own a TV, I'm better than all of you. So I don't tell people I don't drink unless it comes up or I'm asked or I'm offered a drink. But I don't drink, sorry. But hey, enjoy. If you love it, then drink it.
Yeah, I actually don't drink either, but I'm getting to the point to where I might. I swear. We have those moments. It's really funny because, for me, it's my work is my thing. Do you know what I mean? Like my work
that's your drug, right?
It is, man. It's like I watch, and funny enough, action movies, like fight scenes. I'm gonna do a cut of a video, like you guys know, and the man hand animating that in Celevision. Like I started doing that morning, and then said to Ethan that was not staged or anything. When Ethan goes, I haven't even looked at this thing yet. I'm gonna play it. I had just sent it before I was dying. It's like interactive TV, but I want to do an edit of a YouTube video that is just repetition of Jean-Claude Van Damme impacts on things, like him elbowing somebody, like almost like it's a piece of music. But that's my drug, man. Watching boxing and, Mickey Ward versus, oh my gosh, my guy. Can't believe I'm blanking on his name. I'm that tired. Gotti, Arturo Thunder Gotti. That's my stuff.
Right. All this says, I've got enough scotch in the cellar to cover both of you. So he has none. Because we don't drink.
Wow.
So sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope you replenish your scotch. No, I don't drink because I used to drink. No more. I used to drink, and I realized I drank when I felt stressed out. You know what I mean? And I never liked the taste of alcohol, ever. Beer, liquor, I never liked it. The way I would drink was disgusting. big cup of ice, vodka about 4 or 5 inches, and take it like you're taking medicine so you could feel buzzed.
Yeah, I haven't drank regularly since I turned 21. I'm just being real.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Man. Yeah, that in television intro you did was great, and that was fun. I'm gonna try and do those every morning till Christmas because Ethan, wants us to do that, and obviously,
hey, listen, I gotta watch something, so you're gonna have to get up because I've got to be entertained. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be there. One eye closed and coffee.
Yeah, man, it's the cool thing is, guys, all of you who are getting the word out on your channels and talking about my work and all this, much love, brother. I watch Comicsgate shows because it's been my entertainment while I've worked since before the launch of Nosfero, guys. And thank you again. We're at 17, I don't know what we are, 17,200 or something like that right now. So much love to you guys for that. But it is a total trip when I'm watching a show and someone starts talking about my book and project. I'm incredibly humbled. I'm really grateful. But it's almost like it's kind of nice when I'm watching, like, say, where you guys are talking about a movie or something like that. What's so cool about it is I get to kind of go back into that awesome sort of zone of just watching this stuff, because Comicsgate now, man, it's like I've always been passionate about it, but I feel a tremendous responsibility now. Like it feels like work in a good way, like I want to just be promoting it. I'm like, if I'm going to do a non-Nosfero piece, if I'm going to do some video editing, it's going to be, my recreation is going to be things that sort of serve making this thing bigger and creating more opportunities. It's about making that culture all the better, man. Yeah,
no, this is our place, so we got to take care of it. And, since I've really joined Comicsgate outwardly, because I worked secretly for years.
Oh, yeah.
You can ask my wife. I've been trying to get up at 7:30 and then working until 10, 11, 12 at night because I don't want to stop. I'm coloring a few books. I'm writing a book and coloring it. And then I'm writing a book and fully illustrating it and some other things. I've got all kinds of stuff going on. So I feel like, I wish the days were 48 hours long and I didn't need any sleep. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like you, I'm just having so much fun. And the fans, they're so funny and fun to talk to in the chat and all that. It's really fun. I just put Shanth's Nosfero into the chat if you guys want to check out his book and back that. And Shanth, I saw your YouTube just now. You're over 700 followers. You've gained a few.
It's crazy. Guys, yeah, thank you so much for that. And I'll tell you this, guys, is that what you said is absolutely right. The chat is, how do I word this? It's like our fuel, man. It's like I get to know people in the chat. I get to know, all of these different creators. And when you kind of came on the scene, and I'm like it's so sad, like the how low like a lot of us dads, right? Our bar. It's not like I need the world handed to me. Like I don't need to have a crazy party.
Right.
I've traveled. I've been a lot of amazing places. And I was like going, oh man, somebody else likes Van Damme movies. It's like sometimes it's the little things in life where you go, oh, what happened in Comicsgate? There's a new guy. His thing is Van Damme.
Right, exactly. But you said you were appreciative of getting a lot of help. And I had Cecil Lammy on my show this afternoon or this morning. You don't know who he is probably, but he's a big NFL sports radio guy from Denver. And I'm from Colorado, even though I live in San Diego. I love the Denver Broncos. I love the NFL so much. I've been listening to Cecil on the radio forever. He likes to draw. He was there during the Image boom. He's trying to do his own comics. And it was a great interview. And he said the way he got into radio, he wanted to do sports radio, is just working for free, working at the station, doing this, doing that. And Adam Schefter, the biggest NFL reporter for ESPN and all that stuff, he's a Denver guy too. He went to CU Boulder. And he said he was having lunch with him one day. That guy was kind of his mentor. And he said, well, what do you want to do, Cecil? He's all, I want to write a column about fantasy football. He got on the phone and made it happen like that because they've been working together for a while. And he asked Adam Schefter, and then Mark Schlereth is a famous multi-Super Bowl winning player for the Broncos. And these other guys, they all helped him with his radio career. And he said at one point, why did you help me? And he said, because you never asked for anything. You just came in here and busted your ass. And I told that long, circuitous story to tell you the same thing, Shanth. You said, remember I had you on my show like 2-3 weeks ago to promote Nosfero?
Yeah.
The reason I did that is because this is the culture I grew up in. Military football kind of ideal is like, I want to see a guy with a shovel in his hand. Or as John, that's why I love John Malin. I want to see you with your oars. And you didn't ask for shit from any of us. You just said, oh, these guys are working. I'm getting to work. You just fucking got to work. You didn't need to be told to get to work. I said, okay, this is my guy. Because that's how I am.
It's that old Irish saying, right? Is this a private fight or can anybody get into it? I saw. Listen, guys, this is the thing. I actually really give a shit about this country. I know that's something that you hear a lot of us talk about, but I really do.
Right.
Like, I've studied the history of it. It's a miracle to me of history. It's a miracle of so many things. And I love comics. I also do not care for bullies. And watching people dog Ethan like they were doing, like, and plus, even with your boy Zach, Richard Meyer, like when people go bring people's kids into shit, that's like, right. Like, no, don't be fucking around like that. And so for me, it was so funny because it was like, I don't like, I just, the Spielberg story actually comes to mind where Steven Spielberg, jumped off the tour at Universal and ran to Alfred Hitchcock famously and said to Alfred Hitchcock, what advice do you have for me to make it in movies? And Hitchcock's response was, by the time you understand my advice, you won't need it. And he walked off. And so Steven set up an office, put his name on the outside of the door. Like, he didn't have an office. He found an empty office and started asking people if they needed stuff done.
Right.
And finally they realized this guy isn't even working here. And he's just producing stuff. And it's like, it's great. It's like, we'll hire him. And that's the kind of drive to me where I've done that everywhere I've ever been. It's just in my DNA. And I'm one of those people where it's like, when I'm passionate about something, like, I don't know how to fake things. So when I'm really passionate about something, I'm all in. That's just the way it is. Yeah, I can't. I'm too tired to fake shit. I've always been too tired to fake shit.
You can ask my wife. I tell her, if things aren't real, I don't fucking want them. I want things to be intense and sincere.
It's too short.
Don't even talk to me. I don't. Yeah. And man, I'm totally the same way when it comes to that. Like, we need to just get to work. I don't need someone's permission, and I definitely don't need some stupid editor's direction. What do they know? Let's be honest. I'm honest. Editors are failed artists. They're failed writers. That's why they're editors. Nobody would take that salary, those horrible headaches that editors have with all the schedule, all the bullshit. Nobody would do that if they could actually write, if they could actually draw. Come on now. So I don't need their permission or their advice, to be frank.
Well, what's funny is that there's this aspect though of editors back in the day and fans back in the day. Oh, we got to read this one. Yeah.
Right. Apex Comics. Thank you so much. That's why I saw the one. I had to pluck it up. I served my country in the U.S. Navy during Desert Storm. I love America, and we will fight for our freedom. Well, let me show you something, and then we'll get right back on your thing about editors.
Yeah, no, please. Hail Apex Comics. Thank you.
I love the NFL, right? I told you I love football, but my favorite football game of the year is the Army-Navy game. And I had the pleasure of watching it this weekend. Only dudes allowed, with my father-in-law in the red. And then nice. The man who's disappearing there, he's in the bottom with the white hair. He's 91 years old. That's Grandpa Rocky. He's not my grandpa. He's my sister-in-law's grandpa. And then her dad, Roy. All Navy veterans. And it was a close game. Army was like a 14-point favorite. Navy won with just seconds ago. They had to stop them on like fourth down or whatever. And it was so great to watch that with those old guys. And they were just, Navy, let's go. And no women allowed, eating snacks, this and that. And it was so funny. The old guy, he's 91 years old, Grandpa Rocky. He's a total character. Super, super amazing guy. He was on the Midway. He was in the Korean War. He said, we need to do this again for the Super Bowl. And then he said, all bros, no hoes. So I was a big fan of that.
And something I wanted to address too about the editing thing, is that it's like, and Aldous is sort of pointing that out too as well, which is, I think that editors sort of morphed into at a certain point, and you guys know the kinds of editors we're talking about versus what great editors were back in the day. You know what I mean? So I think there's a distinct, because Aldous is a tremendous guy, has a lot of experience, and I'm thinking also about Joe Albino Thunderbuns, our friend and yours on a Bancroft show. One of the things that is great about it's like I think the there's two different aspects of it. There's like I'm a teacher, or I was a teacher. I taught for 18 years. My wife's a teacher, and we know well, and there are many examples of it, those who can do, those who can't teach, as being proven completely true, sometimes more than others. But then we all know, like, that there are great editors who've opened, who've helped, develop talent and help people see how things go together. And I think if, and actually Ethan was talking about, the editorial thing, I think not long ago, is that what I think that you're seeing happen a lot on its own organically in Comicsgate is a lot of people who have careers as actual professional editors versus the gatekeeping activists that we're, seeing much more of today, who are now gravitating towards Comicsgate and are bringing a lot of really great things into it, so that those of us who are writers or artists or whatever, who are kind of zeroed in on certain parts of the project, having somebody who is in there and has experience with that kind of stuff is really useful. So yeah, I mean, I think what we're, what Gabe was talking about was definitely the, what I mean, the gatekeepers and
hey, can I address it real quick?
Please, yes, go, brother, go.
But, all this on the farm, just off Orwell Lane. He says, "Wow, yeah, I completely disagree with what I said about editors. With that, editors serve a purpose just as much as writers. You're 100% right. I'm wrong in the way I said that, so I will back down. I almost never back down. I will back down from what I said about editors being useless. It's the young, pink-haired SJW gatekeeping editors, and they're not really editors. But you're totally right. All this editors are essential. They are good ones, and the good ones, they have massive skill. Mark Chiarello is an amazing artist. He's the guy that colored the original Hellboy comics, and working with him at DC, that guy, it was like Philippe working on story with me. Mark Chiarello, I went over, I had an issue of Martian Manhunter that this gatekeeping SJW editor ruined because he told me to do this wacky off-the-wall style with all these garish colors and like all this like acid trip. And I kept telling him, no, this is Justice League. We need to do superhero style colors. I did it. Dan DiDio hated it. And Dan DiDio wanted to like fire Andy or something because Mark Chiarello called me on the phone and talked to me for like an hour as I changed all kinds of stuff, which I argued not to do in the first place. And he said to me, look, Gabe, I'm trying to save someone's job here. So I was like, oh, shit. And I told Andy that we shouldn't do that because of the tone of the book. If we were doing Vertigo or something, I could have seen it, a weird, trippy Vertigo story. But this editor, Andy Curry, was terrible editor, not qualified to do it, total SJW, total like back. Like this is not a good dude. So I will apologize to any editors out there. I hurt your feelings by saying that. I should have thought a little more in the way I said that. So all this, you win. You're completely right on that. Sorry.
I met Mark Chiarello. I showed him my work when I was in college. And even though it didn't lead anywhere, it was amazing because I was so nervous. And he saw my stuff and he goes, it's rare to see somebody with this level of draftsmanship at your age. And wow. It's one of those things. It was really, and it's funny, like it was one of those things to where nothing ever, he's like, call me when you get out of school, and the industry was going downhill. But it's like, I think what, and I know Aldous knows this because he's a cool cat. He knows what we mean. And we gotta shoot from the hip sometimes, this stuff about the things that annoy us, because it's like, but I'll tell you this, what we're trying to say is that the three of us are not going to have an editorial meeting over milkshakes anytime soon. We're going to have it over, tamales and bratwurst or something. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I hope that's clear. They're amazing editors. Brian Cunningham was a great editor, a personal friend of mine. I did a ton of work for him. Who else did I really like working for? I can't think of it really off the top. Oh, Sean Makowitz. I worked with him at DC, and then for Robert Kirkman, we did Invincible. He was really fun to work for. So there are good ones out there, but not like the old days. In the old days, there were tremendous editors, and they were great writers. And some like Chiarello, few were artists. Mostly
colored the original Hellboy, right? He colored the Seed of Destruction, and this is the thing too about it is that everybody I know who's been to school or been to college, if someone were to ask me when you were asking me about where I went to school, I will tell you and I don't know financially. I mean, back then it might have been somewhat worth it, but I will tell you, I had probably, with all the teachers you have over the course of your college time, it's but it's I think that definitely makes sense there. All this cracked me up. But the thing about it is that when I look at when I think about it, I had maybe 2 or 3 teachers who gave me something that I could apply.
Right.
And, when you look at averages like that, a great writer who understands, like there's writers who have to be the center of attention, the star, and they suck all the oxygen out of the room. And every now and again, you get somebody like, who's a DC Comics editor, O'Neill, Danny O'Neill, right? Who
right.
was responsible for shepherding in and, helping to make Batman, what Batman was. And some
Right.
people, view it up or down, but he was really great at creating teams and also kind of trying to hold true to what these characters were. And I think that what's kind of interesting is there's this streak of what's best about, to me, it comes down to this thing called taste, right? Which is, there's this, you got to write like I write, you got to draw like I draw, versus
Right.
I know what good artwork is, I know what good writing is, and I also know what money is. And
Right.
if something works, let's, like, what was it that what's his name? Oh my God, Frank Zappa said about that the art industry was better served by the businessmen who knew nothing about music, because they came in and they said, does this work? Like, I don't know what this is, but it's making money. There's an audience. He goes, once they started saying, hey, these hipsters are selling, let's bring in hipsters to manage things, they put themselves in the role of the tastemaker. And all of a sudden, funny enough, interesting thing wasn't happening anymore because they were interested in being the thing and shutting the doors on people.
Right.
So it was the people who were dispassionate and rational and objectivists versus the hipster subjectivists who come in and say, I want to decide what cool is, as opposed to I want to be a place where cool can happen.
Right. That's very insightful. Yeah. There's nothing like being an artist, you're freelancing, and the editor you're working for, they have corrections for you, but it's not because you did anything wrong or a mistake. They just want to see something else, or it needs to be their idea. I'll never forget, Mike Barron and I, we did a comic strip for a bank. They would give it to kids who started like savings deposit, and it was just a little 1-page strip every month or two. It was a full comic page called Wheels, and she was a girl who did extreme like X Games sports and all that. And it's a comic. It's not a movie, right? So nothing is moving. So I draw her on her bike in a half pipe, and she's in the air, and I just kind of have the bike, flying, and she's kicking and doing a trick. I get a note from the lady at the bank to say, we'll switch it from a McTwist to a 1080 whatever. And I'm just like, well, it doesn't say what the trick is in the script, and they're not moving. We can't, she's just like, it's action on a bike. They're not, how are they going to know what trick I'm drawing here when it doesn't do the full rotation and kick? So I just wrote her back and said, I'm sorry, you approved this in pencils and inks, and I've already colored it. Like, I'm not doing that. She got really sore about that. So, yeah.
Have you seen that comic strip that they have where it's the graphic designer's pricing list? Have you ever seen that?
Well, go ahead. I've seen similar things, but
it says, here's my pricing list. I graphic designed this project from start to, I'm the graphic designer, $500. I'm the graphic designer. I'm the graphic designer and you watch, $500. I'm the graphic designer and you help, $700. You're the graphic designer and I watch, $10,000. It was basically saying the more you need to micromanage it, the more I'm gonna charge, because that's the pain in the ass of it, And it's true.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I remember in college we found this funny website where it was like art directors standing over artists or whatever. So it would always be a guy like at a drawing table or a computer or whatever, and another guy would have his hand on his shoulder, like, look, just making him nervous and micromanaging. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
So
it's we're forging something. We're forging something new, and I think that the greatest thing about this is what I think is so different is because we're decentralized. The opportunity here, and that is why I think Michael. What's great about Michael's relationship with Joe on the Lucent is that he was able to. It's the same thing with artists and writers. If you've got game and something you can bring to the table, you're in the same boat. So you've got artists who are hiring editors who get what they're doing and can demonstrate that they can improve things. Whereas when you're working in any other endeavor, it's like a stranger hiring your trainer as a fighter. It's like, who doesn't know anything about you, asking some random person. You got to find those grooves, and I think a lot of that stuff in Comicsgate happens organically. It's not bureaucracy, which is nice.
Yeah,
and we don't have to worry about Image Central even or any of that stuff. We're just do it,
There's a part of me that I wanted to bring up this. There's a part of me that hopes Image gets that union just for the laughs, but I hope not because it'd put them out of business.
It'll never happen. It's already dying.
It would have ruined them.
They missed their window.
I got stories about Andy Curry. They'll come out someday, but that's for a very special episode of my channel. You guys have
and I'll have to have started drinking to watch it, I'm sure.
you guys have no idea what I have to tell you about that guy.
No,
it's not a coincidence that his writer Eric Esquivel was Me Too'd, and it's not a coincidence that his artist Robbie Rodriguez showed his butthole to Ethan in a tweet. It's not a coincidence. There's some stuff there that will Andy Curry I'm not a fan of. Let's just put it that way. There's some very
when I heard that story, my favorite video on YouTube, I'm going to tell you guys too much about me here. I want to start out by, I'm not disavowing, I'm just saying I don't want to put myself out there as a juggalo when I'm not and misrepresent myself. But there's a YouTube video parody called The Juggalo News Network. And it's hilarious. It's the news as reported, the Juggalo-based news thing. And it's they've got a newscaster. Her name is Murder Bitch. It's hilarious. And he goes, and no, over to you, Murder Bitch. And she's like, thank you. And it goes into stuff. And I felt like when we were in that insane clown world that was going on with things like that happening to Ethan, I was like, I need these people to newscast it because this is so insane. This is so barking. It blows your mind. And you start saying to yourself, I guess this is what it comes down to. The number one thing to make any industry successful that we need, or to any financial endeavor, is adults. We need adults. And that is like, I tell people this, it's like that we have this expression in the South. I don't know if it's probably everywhere, but referring to someone as, you're a grown ass man. Do you know what I mean? It's like, act like a grown ass man. And it's like, it's so true. It's like, I don't want to, like, when you hear people writing about death and murder and life, like in the new Star Wars movies, you realize there's children writing it because they don't understand the gravity of what they're writing. Things just happen and they think the emotion comes with it. Whereas the more you've experienced in life and the more things that you've seen, and the more you've learned how to conduct yourself, the better the better your writing and your sense of things is, and it's like, I've probably told this story to you before, but it's one of those stories that, the holding the door open thing. And there was all this thing about, I could hold my own door or whatever, and people saying all that kind of stuff. And I grew up where you hold the door for everybody. So every now and again, I would see a pregnant woman trying to wrestle a door open and a bunch of guys walk past her going in. And I'd be like, what the hell? Or I would see someone say to me, thank you. And then get the door for me, some woman. And I thought, and I'd laugh and go, thank you. Like, if you think you've returned fire on me, great. I actually like having a door held open for me. So thank you. But I always do it. And there was this gas station on my commute on the way back and forth. And there was a guy who every time I'd go to the gas station, he was washing his clothes in the sink. He was homeless and he tried to dress himself up well. You could tell he was going on job interviews, but he was having to wash and do everything. And I'd go in there and be like, dude, he's about my age and look like a decent person. And so I always open the door whenever I go there. One day I'm coming home and I'm not even paying attention to who's behind me. I just see out the corner of my eye, someone's behind me. I open the door, hold it, stand back and hold it. And he walks past me. He's on the other side of the glass, like door, walking into McDonald's. And he's like, you are a very nice person. Thank you. And I was like going, and I didn't think about what I was doing. I was thinking about what kind of day. You never know what kind of day people are having, man.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You never know. And so when someone backs my comic, I'm here to bring you art. I'm here to bring you beauty, action. I want it to be a great story. And if it's like if somebody's coming after my kids, if I've got to hit them with a chair, I'm going to hit them with the chair. I'm going to use everything I've got. They're going down. And when I go to draw, paint, tell stories, if I need to get another set of eyes on it, I'm there. And I've got a group of people around me who are like always volunteering and saying, hey, man, if you need another set of eyes, Michael Bancroft, can I look over your campaign before it launches? We're always having these conversations, and that's what makes Comicsgate so amazing.
Yeah. Sorry, I need another drink, but I come from the background of what was most influential to me as a young man in high school was football. And what you'll never find, I'm thinking back on editing and all that. And I'm thinking about the way you were raised to be kind and all these examples you get and how all this stuff is organically happening in Comicsgate. And in football, you're not going to find a good coach or a good team where the coach didn't play some football, maybe just high school. But you couldn't get a coach out there who had just read about football and all this. And you tell me if I'm right about this because you were in academia forever. I think academia worships epistemological knowledge, book knowledge, TED Talks, watching YouTube videos, as if that would make you good at anything. When I always say the only teacher, experience isn't the best teacher, it's the only teacher. Because all of that, listening to reading a book on that just proves you can read. It doesn't prove you really understand things. I don't think anyone can do anything that they haven't done because you're only going to get good at something through repetition. So I would say the best editors are the ones that were, they were people who they didn't have a professional writing career, but they practiced a lot and they took it in college and did a lot of writing. But when someone like I had an editor at DC tell me they were good at writing because they like to read. And I was like, that's like saying you're good at cooking because you like to eat. But you know
what's so funny about that, though? I can simplify academia and much of what's wrong in almost every industry in the world really simply. Academia is about the worship of status.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're good because you have this brand on your degree. You're good. So I always say this is that the greatest people who come out of places like Harvard, Yale, or even art colleges like Rhode Island School of Design, they would have been successful anyway. Yeah. They would have been successful anyway. In fact, I actually said that to a prospective student, college scams, once by typing in. This is the funniest thing, right? So this is how chill I tend to be, like, about most things. I love my brother-in-law. He's really close. We're really close. He's a super cool dude. And we were talking, and I remember he was on this massive kick while I was a college teacher. Like, this is my whole career about college is a scam and it's a total waste of time. And I remember my wife sitting there watching me. And it was sort of hilarious because he's like going, it's a scam. And I think colleges are going to be dead in a couple of years, whatever. And I was kind of like going, yeah, I can see that. Like, I'm just like one of those people to where there's things that will piss me off, like, and there's things that can irritate me or whatever else. But part of the thing I love about CG and part of the thing I love about this kind of stuff is, it's, and I see a lot of people using this in the chat, and it's great. It's like agreeing, not even just agreeing to disagree. With me, I'll go on a stream and I'll take a point on something. Someone will ask me a question and they'll argue their point. And by that evening, I'm like, I think they might be right. It's like, and it's not because I'll consider anything if it's well argued and I'm a rationalist, I'm objective about this stuff.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think I think academia, like you said, it worships status and all that, and it worships it breeds arrogance. And what it should really breed is being humble and being honored to be able to learn and be able to apply these things to your life. And I do like that, and you've shown it that if you do hear a differing opinion, then you will consider it. Like, I made that blanket statement, but I was not speaking completely clearly, and then all this comes in, and you're right. You are right. Good editors are important. I do think Leg Kick said it later that I was just blown off steam because I was having to make sure to keep dealing with SJW editors the last few years. It was horrible.
But you know what, though? This is what guys do. Yeah, but this is what guys do, right? So I have this really close relationship with a friend of mine who's fairly successful in the industry, and I was explaining our in the entertainment industry, and I was explaining our relationship to my wife, which is we'll have a conversation about something, we'll have totally opposite opinions, and I'll get to the point like where we'll be arguing about stuff like that, and we'll be disagreeing with stuff, and if I let him talk himself out, because that's what he's got to do, and I just sit back there and nod, he gets to the end of what he's saying and he goes, Yeah, you know what? Everything I just said is full of shit. Like, it's hilarious how guys are, and it's one of those kinds of things to where in CG it's kind of like it's what I kind of like about that sort of stuff is if somebody comes to me, and this is what's great about it, somebody can make that statement and say, you know what? I don't really go for painted comic books. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't really go for this. I don't really go for that. You know what? I think editors suck. Full stop. You know what I mean? Yeah, we know all this. We know, man. But it's one of those things where then the natural response to me has always been, it's like someone saying, I'm going to knock you out in boxing. Prove it.
Right.
And if you're the person who's got me figured, be the editor that sells me twice as many books. Show me your value. And you said it too. If people are working and they are of value, the argument's won. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, and that's all you've got to do. Like, you can see when you've got a writer on a book who says, I know how to write Batman better than you do. Okay, and they get put in that position. Look at what they do.
Yep.
Watch the sales, move the needle. And I think that's what that's what's so cool about the meritocracy that we're making here, which is, you can also say, you know, all right, you're, you know, it's like, there's the intellectual understanding of that point. But yeah, anybody who's like myself included, when someone says college is a scam, I would sit back and go, yeah, a lot of it kind of was. I know, you know what I mean? It's not a, you know, it's the funniest thing
too, because it's so important in education.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been completely, I mean, I won't go too far on this, but it has been totally subverted and perverted into just indoctrination and then debt. I see crystal clear. Elon Musk tweeted out last week something I've been saying for years. The banks would never give these 18-year-olds 10 grand to open a pizza shop.
Nope.
But the banks will give them 300,000 for their masters in English or whatever. Think about that. And it's the only debt that is not, you can't declare bankruptcy. Total bullshit. So what the colleges are doing, the banks are doing through the college, they know these kids are going to go out and work for the next 40, 50 years. Yep. And the bank says, I'll take 10% of that for the rest of your life, you know, till you can pay it off. These kids are getting insane debt. Don't go to school, guys. Go to a cheap one or something.
Look, but listen, let me say this to you too. Like, this is the great thing about CG that I love is that we talk money, we talk about earning, we talk about, like, we have a very clear goal, which is to sell comic books, and we know if this is a funny thing. Any what is that Chris Voss, the hostage negotiator who
love
that
guy.
A lot of books. He's great, right?
Never split the difference.
Never split the difference,
book.
and he has that great quote, right? Never lie to anybody you're not going to kill. He goes, because you will see them later. And he goes, and if you lie to people and you're dishonest, if you say, hey, I'm going to work, like, you're going to get a comic and you don't, what did that person win? They may have won your $25, but they're never getting money, and that word is going to get out, right?
Right.
And so when we say to you guys, like, this is the cool thing about it, what pushes us to excel with our books is the next book.
Yeah.
Because there is no, like Ethan, I think part of the reason why Ethan's been working, like, he's always working hard, but one of the reasons why he's so zeroed in on the story is because he was in the shit. Like, he was going from first time publisher, and people were like, get the book out. Cyberfrog's late. He's got people, it's never going to happen. And so he's like, I got to get this book out. And I think he mentioned this, that there was a part of him that was like going, and then people got the book and it was out, and people were like, going, I wish there was more of this. And so he had to go in that direction because it was the first time doing it. And I think it's a great, first issue for where he's going. But I think now he's it's interesting. He's not using the cushion to sit on his ass. He's using the cushion of those books to make something exceptional. You know what I mean? Because now he's like, I want you to read this story, and I want you, like, it's like with King Kong. When the monkey dies, I want you to cry. Like that. What I think it was De Laurentiis said. And I think that's his attitude, man. And I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah. There's a good question here from Aldous. Looking at things like the Kubert School, would you guys consider that a college or a trade school, out of curiosity? I would say like a trade school, I think, but I don't have experience going there. I don't know.
I don't either, but from what I've heard PTP say and what I've heard Shane Davis say, the different times they were at the school, I'm a big believer in trade schools. I'm not a big believer in bachelor's degrees. And I worked in that industry. The education industry is what I call it for a lot of years. I think a great mentor and a trade school we're going to need something like that at some point to skill people up, because so many of these art forms, this from talking to colorists and learning about coloring. I'm sure at some point you're having these conversations about pre-press. We need, the biggest failure that we had with Image Comics was the fact that there was no way to get people, like if you're a superstar, come to Image Comics, but there wasn't really a way of passing, like YouTube wasn't there, all these other things of showing like the ins and outs of what we do, passing on knowledge so that you could build something stable, like a bullpen, so to speak, of back in the day. So yeah, I think trade schools are the answer, personally. Yeah, I think that's the answer.
Trade schools are awesome. I love this comment because I've thought this forever. And again, that football thing where, your coach played. He played a little college ball. I would like to see the writers and artists of the older generation as editors. It would be part of teaching the up-and-coming creators. That's how it should be. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what I was complaining about when I famously gave my blanket statement. You've got editors in there and they don't have any experience. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand story. They just like, I like this. I want it to be this way. And you're like, you have to agree because you're a freelancer, but in your head, you're like, they can never defend that opinion. They can never tell me why we're changing X to Y. They just want to see it. And that's what we don't need. I don't need, I'm drawing and the editor gets my hand and starts doing this. That's what I don't need. And I'm telling you guys right now, that's why the mainstream, that's a big part of why it sucks, is because they're hiring these young kids that are just out of school. They don't have an experience. They're not great artists or writers yet. And yet they're trying to tell, oh my God, I remember Mike Grell, veteran, right?
Yeah, Mike Grell.
He's a veteran guy. He's in his 70s or something like that. And he did some flashback pages on Young Justice last year with Ryan Bendis and me and some other people. And the editor told him something, and I was kind of like, oh, in the email. And then he just like dropped a bomb about like, I've been in this industry since before you were born or whatever. He didn't say those words, but he might as well. I can't quote it, but it was just like, does this 25-year-old editor know who the fuck Mike Grell is? You should not be talking to him this way. It was just kind of like, you don't have the experience. You don't have the knowledge. It's just.
Bet they've never held a door open for anybody.
I'm sorry. Say that again?
I said, I bet they've never held a door open for anybody. And I'm going to say this to you too, guys. I was, and I am, in my opinion, an exceptional teacher. And I'll tell you why. I do it based on, do I teach people skills and prep them in a way that gets them work and money and a career? Right. That is the only metric I ever used. I had a student come to me one time and they were like, I think I might want to be an art director. I might want to be this. I might want to be this. I want to be this. And I just, and they said, and I want to do an independent study with you. And I had a lot of people wanting to do independent studies with me when I was teaching. And I said, no, that's not going to work. Then I had a student come up to me who said, I work the night shift at Dunkin' Donuts while going to school and I want to be able to pay off my loans. And I said, I can work with you.
Yes.
We'll take it. And she did. She ended up being an art director. She was making more than I made as a teacher right out of school. And I used to tell my students, I don't drive this distance and I don't work this hard for you to do as well as me. I work this hard for you to do better than me. But I always said to them, I go, I'm a dragon teaching knights in the art of how to kill me, but I'm not going to put the sword in for you. I'm going to come for you. That's the shit. Do you know what I mean?
That's awesome. Oh, man. Well, we've gone over 2 hours.
Yeah, we've gone way over, dude.
Oh, let me check the chat before we get out of here. Yeah, we took such a level. We started off with Steven Seagal. We never got to show Khashoggi. We'll have to I'll do some research and get some images from that. I want to show you Black Eagle. It's one of Van Damme's very first movies. I don't think he has any dialogue. It has one of the worst exploding like yachts or boats. You could tell this thing is like a 3-foot like balsa wood model. It's an amazingly horrible movie. Van Damme is just some Russian thug he's a villain in this one, actually. I think he's a villain in his first 2 movies, right?
Yeah.
No Retreat, No Surrender, and Black Eagle. He's a villain in both of those.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Way back there,
Okay, I'll do so. And if you can find Black Eagle, watch it. It's probably $2 on Amazon. I have it on DVD, but I'll watch it again. But I'll find some art for that. So you'll be back next Wednesday, Shanth.
Absolutely, brother.
Okay. All right. Well, let me check the chat. I want to thank everyone here. Individuals, Ladies Man 727, SDA, Stephen Rockwood, Enrique Cabrera, Aldous on the farm just off Orwell Lane, Bob Newfart, of course, Jay Bada. I know Tari was here, Apex Comics, all kinds of great people were here. We had a lot of fun, and we will be back for more Double Impact. Weren't we supposed to have some sign off?
Yeah, we're supposed to go. Yeah, which way do we go? I think we go. This way.
We'll go back to back, and then we'll
Back
say
to
like,
back,
thanks for watching Double Impact on 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Thanks for watching Double Impact.
Double Impact. I forgot about the delay. Damn it, I screwed it up.
It's fine. We're good. They know we're boomers.
We can do this one.
We got to do the fist bump.
Yeah. Can you almost?
Can I get there?
There it is. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. See you next Wednesday at 7 Pacific.
Absolutely. Take care.